What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to another edition of the Casually Chelsea Show, International Break Edition, so double edition. I am here with Ladimus Prime. I am your host, Marshalldbdx, Casually FC, Casually, whatever you guys want to call me. Big up to everyone who is here, locked in, tuned in, ready to go. Sorry for the tardiness. Been a very busy last few days. Building up to the day I have to go away on vacation. So just, getting my eggs in a row, ducks in a row, getting all my ducks in a row before I head off to vacation and stuff. And make sure I leave you guys with some content and stuff as well to watch while I'm away. But big up to everyone. Be sure to smash the like if you haven't done so already. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, if you're new here. Be sure to also hit the bell notification so you're notified whenever we do go live, and check out the links in the description. Leave a comment down below if you're watching this in the future, and also, as always, be sure to check out the memberships because there's 4 different tiers starting at 99p. And if you like watching the show live, it's a great way to engage and also get to use those fun emojis that we have down there. So yeah, a bit of a slower week than usual. Not much news has gone on since the last time we did the show, but there is a few things that I never got a chance to talk about on last show that we're going to talk about in today's show. But to start off today's show, we're going to start off with the first topic at hand, which is Premier League has been making some changes to financial rules that may or may not affect us. Most likely will affect Chelsea. So let's go ahead and see this tweet that we found here and see what it's all about. Let me share my screen and boom. All right. So we have here from Sky Sports News: the Premier League is moving to make changes to elements of its financial rules to ensure they comply with competition and public law. I find it odd that this is coming out after they were caught lacking, for lack of a better term, with the Man City charges. They lost that. Not the Man City charges, but they lost the case with Man City in regards to sponsorship deals with pricing out whatever you want from a shirt sponsorship deal to be, or pricing out the cost of sponsorship for a club. It happened previously with other clubs as well. And so we have Clear Lake in this situation that has been taking advantage of a bunch of loopholes in the transfer window, whether it be monetization, or not monetization, I'm sorry, amortization, so on and so forth. A lot of things that the Premier League kind of got caught with pie on their face for. So now they're finally deciding, hey, we should probably take ourselves a little bit more seriously and actually do something about some of these changes and actually, close up some of these loopholes perhaps. But I mean, maybe I'm looking too deep into it. Prime, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, when you saw, you look at what Chelsea's been doing the last 2 years and how we've been able to make a mockery of England, and I guess you could say also FIFA or UEFA in terms of our transfer strategy. Like, it's only going to be a matter of time before other clubs start to clock in on what's going on and try and do the same thing. Like, you've already seen in this transfer window, Man United, for example, targeting younger players. So we're seeing other clubs, Newcastle, I think they signed a player and they gave him like a 7-8 year deal. I think West Ham did it as well. We're seeing teams. We're seeing teams starting to clock on, and it's only a matter of time. So them trying to change the rules makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with this. They're just trying to make sure that no one is able to take advantage. But the owners that we have, they'll find a way to take advantage of the next rules that come into place. So I'm not necessarily that worried. Like, we can't get in trouble because we've already done it, So it is what it is. It's smart on our part. Take advantage of the rule so that it gets changed so no one else can do what you did. It's smart.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's I think the Premier League has to do it because they just been caught with mud on their face multiple times. Just this window alone, between not winning the case with whatchamacallit, with Man City, between the loopholes that have been going on with Chelsea. It's been such a mess. It's been, the Premier League's kind of been made a mockery of in a sense as well. So, I mean, good for them. They're making moves. They're going to close. It's going to be curious to see how it affects us, if it's going to be too harsh in one direction, or it's just going to be closing up some gaps that were probably there that we were going to take advantage of, like the selling of a hotel to ourselves and stuff like that, assets being sold to ourselves to reach up certain types of close any financial loopholes and stuff, or financial profits, reach financial profit margins and thresholds. But yeah, it's not really much to say on that. It's just news for the sake of news at this point. But it is something that is going to affect us, so we should probably bring it up at some point and know that it's something that is going to be coming soon. Let's go ahead and move on to the next subject here, and also big up Winter Surfer. Welcome to the stream, brother. We have here, this was something that I was... this was something that I was talking to Chris about in the last stream. And wow, lo and behold, I kind of manifested it. Sam C is reporting that the Premier League are set to introduce the following next season: halftime interviews with player or coach, interviews for players subbed off, dressing room broadcasts. And to add additional detail to all this stuff, the halftime interview can be with an assistant manager. Doesn't have to be a player or the manager himself. And another detail is that clubs have to choose one of 3 listed above to do per match, I'm assuming. I can only imagine Cole Palmer getting subbed off or at halftime and they interview him. And Cole, how do you feel about Newcastle's press today?
What?
It's just... I feel like this is gonna be very interesting. I don't mind the halftime interview. I don't mind even the interviews with the substitutions. What I don't like is the dressing room broadcast. I feel like that is a slippery slope. I know we got to see, what happened with Mourinho and Pep and Arteta and the All or Nothing documentaries. We got to see a little bit of insight what happens in the dressing room and such, but we don't know what was left in footage, and we don't know what was taken out of footage. In terms of like the way I see it is protection of the club and the manager and the players. Because we know the kind of culture we live in right now. We know the type of society we live in right now. It's very easy to say something that's going to get you in a lot of trouble. It's going to get the club in a lot of trouble, so on and so forth. So for me, the dressing room broadcast, it's just, I feel like it's going to lead to more trouble than it's worth. Especially if we're doing it every game. At some point, someone is going to slip up, say something offensive, say something inappropriate, or do something inappropriate. And it's going to cause conversations that people don't want attention towards. It's going to take attention off of more important matters, like the refereeing decisions and stuff like that. But that's my hesitation with it. That's where I stand with it. I'm not a fan of the dressing room broadcast. Everything else, I mean, sure, try it out. I don't really think it's going to be that big an issue. It does add to the entertainment factor of media and all that stuff, which is what these guys are hired to do, right? They're hired to broadcast these games to entertain people. But yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know if you guys agree or not. I guess Surfer, since you just got here, we'll ask you. I mean, how do you feel about halftime interviews with substitutes, or dressing room broadcasts?
Well, I can't see them going for dressing room broadcasts. I don't care what anyone says. That's going to...
Just sounds like trouble.
But when are these dressing room broadcasts supposed to happen? During the game? After the game? There's no way they're going to
imagine it's during the game.
There's no way they're going to allow them in at half time, because that will give out tactics. So there's no way they're going to do that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what are you going to say at half time? Yeah, we should have done better, or you'll keep doing this. You know, and what? I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know why people care what to hear someone at half time. You know what I mean? It's like get in the dressing room, sort out the tactics for the second half, and then move on from there. It's like if it's going to be a sub, it's like, well, what do you think of the game? Well, why? The sub's just like asking a member of the public. It's asking support, basically. What do you think of the game? Oh, yeah, we did really well. Yeah, I don't know. I think why would you allow one of your subs to go out? Shouldn't they be in there with the team, like going over tactics for the second half? Same with an assistant coach and something like this. I just like, what? There's so much stuff to work on in football. You know what I mean? It needs fixing or amending or stuff like that, and then you're just adding all this shit.
100%.
It's how do I brand this? I see it a lot in American sports like NBA and NFL. I see it especially at halftime. Stuff. They even interview coaches during the NBA during the quarters, and stuff like that, or the periods. It's like
I feel like
it's not for me. Other people might like it, but it's not for me.
I mean, like, I get why they would want to do dressing room, broadcasts. Like, obviously it's not for everyone, but I know when I watched All or Nothing, to see, like, the bust-ups between, like, Heung-min Son and Bertongen or whoever fighting, getting on each other's neck about, oh, you didn't run, or it was Lloris and Son getting at each other's necks about, oh, the drama, right? It's the drama, and like people like a lot of people like a little bit of drama, and they like to see like, oh, look at these guys, they're getting bust up, and you're always gonna have the journals saying like, oh, well, Levi Colwell and Sanchez had very uncomfortable conversations in the dressing room. Who's to say? You got your Matt Laws are gonna say like, a lot of instability between Wesley Fofana and Cucurella and so on and so forth. And Enzo Fernandez. Oh God, who knows how much they're gonna blow up Enzo Fernandez's spot? Considering the controversy he already had earlier in the season. It's just, to me, it brings more trouble than it's worth. And God forbid, someone were to say something that maybe they're not supposed to say, or someone does something that gets taken out of context, and a journalist or someone who has an agenda runs with that, and it's, oh, now you're canceled. You know what I mean? It's just like, I know there's certain things that, of course, this should be canceled. Like, I know earlier I saw a tweet. I didn't put it in the show because I have other things I got to talk about, but apparently, what was it? A fan or someone got punished or something for saying racist chants to Nicholas Jackson. Yeah, that shit should be called out, obviously. But there's things that happen in the locker room that obviously, and I say this about this in my group chats. I say some stuff in my group chats that is just like ridiculous, but it's all jokes and banter. I'm sure there's something that would happen in the locker room like this that would get taken out of context, and it's just not a good thing. I don't think so. I think it's invasive of privacy, to be completely honest with you. Prime, did you have any thoughts on either of the three bullet points that were mentioned? Okay, I think Prime went AFK. So, like, yeah, for me...
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I need a new mic, whatever. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's quite interesting. I like it. I think I want to know, I want to see players like reaction in the heat of things when it happens. And that's what the post-match press conferences are for, to be fair, or post-match interviews are for, to be fair. So being able to talk to, like, say, a player or a coach, when a big decision has been made, or a sending off has been made, say at halftime, or going into the dressing room at halftime or at full time, will be quite interesting. I would have loved to have had this last season at Chelsea, seeing what's being said to our players at halftime. why it looks like we're two completely different teams. And yeah, just seeing like the vibes amongst the players. When you look at, for example, Nottingham Forest, when they beat Man United last year, early in the season, and you saw the clips that Alanga and the clips of Alanga, Ola Aina, and Callum Hudson-Odoi just, dancing and having fun and celebrating the victory. They beat Liverpool at home or at Anfield this season, and the same thing that was posted. I think it's interesting. I don't think it's that deep. I understand what you're talking about, like something bad could slip or come out, but these clubs also, aren't stupid. These players are like media trained, and I don't think they're going to be as likely to say something that's bad or controversial when they're on camera, And I also think the right players too will be like picked to do these like game interviews or whatever it is. I'm just curious, is it a thing where it's the Premier League recording it, or these clubs have to record it and then give it to the Prem?
I'm assuming it would be like a live broadcast. It's not like a recorded thing. It's like live, because I've seen the MLS do it, right? Like I've watched some MLS games where like at halftime they'll take the coach and interview him, like, hey, so how'd you feel about the first half? What do you think needs to improve? What do you think you guys can do to take advantage of the other team? Like 3 fire questions, boom, 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 and then they're off into the dressing room. I've seen that, and I don't mind it. I don't think. I know Chris made the argument in last show that you need every minute, pretty much, essentially, as a manager to ensure the tactics are ingrained in the players. You only have 15 minutes, and to take away, 3 of those minutes, maybe even 5 at max. I don't think they're going to be 5-minute interviews, but 3-minute max interviews just to interview the manager and take that away from the manager going to the dressing room and talking to the players. I think that's crucial. And I see the argument, but at the same time, like, I think these questions are really quick fire questions. You get in and out and you do them, and you don't have to do it. You can have the assistant coach do it, which is an option that was being said here. And again, like everyone in the chat is addressing this, and I think it's a fair point. I don't think any team would use the dressing room broadcast. I think that's an odd one. I think that's the one that I'm the most against. Like, as much as I'm curious about, like, how player harmony is in the dressing room, these are players that, this is a really intense sport. And when you're in that intense state of mind, when your body's and your blood is rushing, the adrenaline's going, it's really, really hard to control your emotions despite how media trained you might be. It's really hard to, and especially in the beginning, if this was to be implemented in the very beginning of it all, to get used to it, there's going to be players that slip up and say some, very negative things that are going to look bad on their image. It's going to cause more trouble than it's worth. That's the only one I don't agree with. The halftime thing, sure. Go ahead.
Can the same not be said about, like you're talking about, like being the emotion of it all and whatever, and the heat of battle? Can the same not be said about, you just had a very intense, say, first half, you had a poor decision against you, a man sent off, you're 3-0 down, and then you're having to, instead of going into the changing room and talking tactics and trying to fix the game, you're having to go and speak to some media guy for like a minute or two about what's been going wrong or whatever. Like, is that not the same thing? Like, you're in the heat of the moment, you're angry, and then you're having to try and remain professional and speak on it. Is that not the same thing as what you said? Like, they're both going to be seen as negatives. No,
it's similar, right? But the difference, in my opinion, is that based off of this tweet, you can choose who does the interview. So, like, if Bruno is going to lose his head after getting sent off, you send someone like an Eriksson to speak on the behalf of the team, or you send your assistant manager. You get to choose who speaks. Whereas in the dressing room, you have to control the whole room. The whole room is getting essentially filmed, I would assume. And it's just, to me, you can't control everybody. Like there's always going to be the outlier. Like just think about it this way. Hugo Lloris and Heung-min Son knew they were being filmed, and despite knowing they were being filmed, went back and forth and nearly, you know, got into a physical altercation while filming All or Nothing. It's just stuff like that. And we saw it with whatchamacallit. I think when Pirlo was managing Juve, and you saw how Cristiano Ronaldo lost his head and was yelling at everyone, and there was yelling at each other and you know, cussing each other off, and it's I feel like it could just get ugly, especially when there's a group involved versus like one person. Like, okay, listen, you're the most level-headed. De Bruyne, you're the most level-headed. Go and speak to the media. Go. Like something like that is more controlled, in my opinion. All right, cool.
Yeah, maybe, but I also want to see those side of things. Like, these players are human; they have emotions. Like, why can't we see that sometimes? I think there's anything wrong with that. It shows that they care.
No, I get that. I get where you're coming from. I just, for me, I'm coming at it from a perspective of like, I'm more concerned of the player's well-being than I am of like, you know, the entertainment value and my curiosity as to like who gets along with who, you know, because I'm not gonna lie, like, yeah, I personally, I would like to see what's going on in the dressing room because I'm curious. I would like to be a fly in the wall during that, you know, Champions League final when Tuchel went into the dressing room with our team. Like, I would like to be the fly in the wall to see what the hell happened after every halftime that Mauricio Pochettino would come out and just say what he said, and then our team came out worse.
I am not a clown.
It's just like, it's all this stuff that makes me curious, but for the better of the team, I kind of almost just rather not know.
True, but again, also our clubs, you know, I mean, I guess, well, let me say, I'd like to think that our clubs aren't stupid and they wouldn't put the more controversial of our players front and center, you know, of this. I like to think that people speaking would be, say, well, more than likely doing this sort of stuff, most of them will probably be like our captains. So, like, say, a Reese or a Cole or Caicedo, as opposed to, well, I guess Enzo's also a captain, so he'd be speaking. But, you know,
he literally is the captain right now.
Exactly. But, like, hopefully not someone that's, like, more than likely to say something a little bit wild out of context.
Jesus fucking Christ, guys. Imagine if this happened, like, you know, a handful of years ago when, like, Mario Balotelli was still, like, playing top tier football. Imagine they picked Mario Balotelli to do an interview. The stupidest shit he would say in the interview, like, or even like Zlatan would be funny, but like Mario Balotelli, like, you could imagine he would just like insult the interviewer's wife or something. Like, it would be ridiculous. Like, Mario Balotelli's career would have been a lot shorter if he had this back then. So that's what I mean. Like,
also they'll be smart about it as well. Like, if we had like a Balotelli type in the team, he'd only speak on those interviews. He'd only speak for those during those interviews when Chelsea won 3-0, he got a hat trick, and he's happy. As opposed to
another good shot,
Chelsea, exactly. As opposed to Chelsea getting battered, and he's like, you'd only put players like that speaking when things are good, not when things are bad, because that will make things worse. So again, these clubs are smart as well. Like, you know, so they're not gonna. I'm just curious. Do we have, besides Enzo, do we have any other like controversial players? I don't think so.
I feel like Jackson would say something dumb because he gets hot-headed. Other than him, I don't really know who else.
Would Jackson say something dumb?
I'm sure he would get hot-headed. He's an emotional guy. We've seen this already. True. I can't think of anyone else that would like really.
I'm curious how good is Jackson's English to say something dumb.
He's got decent English. I've heard him in an interview.
Pretty good. I've heard him speak. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good English.
No, I know, but like, yeah, okay, maybe. Mudryk. I don't think Mudryk would say something crazy.
Mudryk's English has improved as well. He can actually speak full sentences.
No. Solomon. No, I think Solomon meant like, would he say something crazy? I don't think Mudryk would say something crazy.
Oh, Mudryk, no. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this. Like, it's looking more than likely that this is going to be implemented, and I guarantee you, the first week it gets implemented, we're going to see one clip is going to go around Twitter that everyone's going to laugh about. And it's just gonna be jokes from there. So we'll see what happens. I really hope at least the dressing room part gets taken out of it. But yeah, time will tell with that stuff. Let's move on to the next topic, which we have here is listen, ladies and gents, whether you want to believe it or not, this has been a Chelsea month. Why? Because we pretty much did the treble. What do you mean by that? Oh yeah, we did the treble of Chelsea staff of the month, pretty much. So we'll start off with the first one we got here is Cole Palmer is the Premier League player of the month of September. So, big up to Cole Palmer. He had a magnificent month in terms of performances. So, a little happy clap, round of applause there. So yeah, so he ended up getting the player of the month for September. Scored 4 goals against Brighton, got 4 assists against Wolves, assist against Nottingham Forest. Did he get the assist for Bournemouth? No, that was Jadon Sancho. I'm trying to think what else.
Scored against West Ham.
Scored against West Ham. So 5 goals total so far. So he got 5 goals and 5 assists, I'm pretty sure. Or 5 goals and 6 assists. Because he's got 11 GA.
He got 6 goals. Oh, it's 11 GA. Yeah, okay, then you're right.
Yeah. So listen, he's off to a sensational start to the season, and we only wish it continue. But he's not the only one that got a award for the month of September. Sonia Bonpastor, our female coach, also got Manager of the Month. So big up to her as well. That's awesome. It's impressive. And this was one that I had to really fill in big shoes for an Emma Hayes that people were, really, really upset that she was leaving. Obviously, she accomplished so much for Chelsea. And Sonia Bonpastor, who came from Lyon, I think it was Lyon, female team, the Lyon women's team. Sorry, I couldn't say that for whatever reason. And she's done magnificent. I think she just beat Real Madrid, women's Real Madrid in the Champions League, convincingly. She's done a phenomenal job of filling in for Emma Hayes in her absence. So big up to the women's team and Sonia Bonpastor as well, also winning the Manager of the Month. And as you see here as well, Enzo Maresca also got Manager of the Month. So big up to all of these guys for winning these awards. It's really nice to see. And then here we see both the managers with their awards together. It's nice. It's nice to see Chelsea, being recognized a little bit. We're not irrelevant anymore, at least for now. So, listen, does this mean that we're going to win the league? No, obviously not. This is just some nice little things to be happy about. Little pit stops in life that you got to take a second to just acknowledge and just smile a bit, because this is nice to see that our managers, whether the women's team or the men's team, and some of our players are getting awards so frequently now. It's a path to the right direction, in my opinion. So let's continue on. No Chelsea player had won a Premier League Player of the Month award since 2018 until this season. Cole Palmer has now claimed 2 out of 3 awards in 24-25 so far. Who was the player that won it in 2018? A Player of the Month in 2018?
It's going to be Hazard, right?
I would imagine it would be Hazard, because 2019 Hazard was gone.
Sorry, has it been 2019-20 or 18-19 season?
I'm assuming it's 18-19, since 2018, so 18-19. Hazard was still with us. That was before the transfer ban, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah.
It's got to be 17-18. Got to be 17-18.
Well, it could be 17-18 too, you're right.
because since then, I don't think a Chelsea player has been good enough.
Someone said here since Eden Hazard. So, yeah, I guess it was Eden Hazard was the last one to win was the last Chelsea player to win a Premier League Player of the Month, which is, wow, we've been through some trenches, huh? Jesus. So we continue on. Then, unfortunately, we couldn't do the quad. Goal of the month went to John Duran. So, good. Yeah.
Well, Palmer's free kick.
It was up there. It must have been close.
Yeah.
It must have been close. But John Duran to come off the bench, and what was the goal? It was the goal against. Oh my God! It was the one where he shoots it from outside the box. I just forgot what team he played.
It wasn't Everton, was it? Who was it?
Maybe it was Everton.
Everton? Might have been Everton. I think the 3-2.
Right, the comeback.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, when you put it in that context too, that's a really impressive goal. But it was. Listen, the real one's Cole Palmer.
I started doing against Bayern. You know what I mean? I started doing against Bayern. So, yeah, Palmer's is like, who scored a free kick like that this season? You know what I mean? It's like,
hasn't been seen yet.
Yeah.
So, hey, listen, we can't win them all.
Put your free kick goals on the table. That's what I always say.
Listen, sometimes you gotta let the rest of the guys get. You gotta give them a little something.
Get their crumbs, man.
Yeah, exactly. Let them get the crumbs. You got the big awards. They got the goal of the month. Ooh, goal of the month. We got goal of the month a few times last season, so it is what it is. But yeah, and then also another thing to point out too is that in international break, we actually had some pretty standout performances. So, we have the Enzo man of the match, Sonia Van Pastor, man of the match, manager of the month. Sorry. I'm just so used to seeing MOTMs thinking man of the match. Manager of the month for Enzo, manager of the month for Sonia Van Pastor. Player of the year, England's player of the year, player of the month for Cole Palmer. Mudryk gets a magnificent goal during international duty. Cole had a magnificent performance against Greece despite the result. Really good world-class goal line clearance from him. Nico Jackson, after 16 or 17 appearances for Senegal, finally gets his first goal, which people are going to take that out of context. He was coming off the bench multiple times again for Senegal, and he was sitting bench to a Sadio Mane. So it wasn't like he wasn't good enough to start. Just Sadio Mane is better. Let's just be honest. But he gets his first goal for Senegal, so good for him as well. And then Christopher Nkunku's first goal for France as well. He had a brilliant performance as well. So good to see our boys doing well in international break. Think it's a solid international break for our Chelsea players, which, again, like this post says, been a while since we've had a positive international break for this many Chelsea players. So good on him, or good on all of them, I should say. But yeah, comments, questions, concerns?
No, I mean, I am. I find it remarkable how, when you compare the women's to the men's team, that this ownership seems to hit every single point on the women's team. Like even the manager choice, they literally went for probably maybe apart from Barcelona one, the best manager they could get. Lyon one, she's won the Champions League as a player and a manager. The players they brought in as well, they keep hitting on the players they brought in. That's the great in Fran Kirby over the summer. You know what I mean? And it's just, and Sam Kerr's like returning. Sam Kerr's not even. She's recuperating from her injury.
Oh, so she's not even been in the team.
No,
wow.
So
I think because with the Chelsea women, because it was so well run under Emma Hayes, I think they've actually worked with her, and she has like a lot of input and say. I think that's what they were trying. I think that's what they were trying to do with Tuchel when he first came.
But the transition to what I'm talking about is actually the transition, because Emma Hayes is basically gone with most of her star to the USA team, and they've come in. But what I'm saying is the way we question them on their manager ID for the men's team, the manager ID for the women's team is like literally. You might even now obviously not. You're not obviously not at Chelsea, but you might say that outside of Chelsea. The women's manager they brought in, I've forgotten her name, which is incredibly rude of me.
Sonia Van Past?
Oh,
Yeah,
Sonia
her
Bastard.
her record in the women's game is
It's
outstanding.
phenomenal. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. That's what I'm talking about. It's not like we went from Potter to Potter. We went from like question mark manager choices even to now.
Yeah,
Like,
you went from like a Jose to an Ancelotti. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or we went from the Liverpool old managers, stuff like that. It's like it's such a contrast, and and I know they probably left because she was established at MHA, so it's probably easy to get on with the women's side and stuff like that. But the transition into it has been, it's been very good, phenomenal the way they do it. And the men's side, I don't want to get. I don't care if I get flack for this. I still don't think. I think Palmer got that award for one game. I think he got it for Brighton.
It's impressive though. He broke a record with that.
That's fine, but I think because I don't think he's up and running still. I still don't think he's there of last season. I mean, his levels aren't there of last season. I just think and it was a magnificent world class performance in that game against Brighton. But I think he got player of the season just for that. Just for that. Enzo, because I don't think he's like, whenever we're talking about he's the best player in the Premier League this season or the best number 10 or he's world class performances. I think everyone really got really just took in that one game. You know what I mean? Because before it was
Don Hussam kind of called me out on that, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I did get overhyped over that one game. But it's still an impressive thing to do. Like, even if it's the one game, the fact that we have a player that was able to do that against Brighton. Right. Despite there being Heung-min Son in the league, despite there being Erling Haaland in the league, despite there being a Mo Salah in the league, who have been here at this level, who have been here longer than Cole Palmer, he was the first one to score 4 goals in one half for the Premier League. And we've had worse sides in this Premier League than Brighton.
Yeah, and I hear what Surf is saying. I think you are right. He's starting off the league slowly, but again, that just shows the levels. Because if this was if this was most players, would be world class form. But because it's Palmer, we expect more. And Palmer started off slowly last season as well, by the way, for us.
That's true.
So which is fine. He'll kick in the form. I expect him to start kicking in the form now, after the international break. So, listen, I'm cool with it. In terms of manager of the month, well deserved by Maresca. People are now starting to see why the ownership appointed him. And in terms of Sonia, listen, she's a world class manager. If Emma Hayes, not many better options out there or equal options out here to her. So getting someone like that and keeping the level at Chelsea is amazing. And I think she's going to win us the Champions League, because I think that's the main thing that Emma wasn't able. Well, the only thing Emma wasn't able to do, and I think we will win the Champions League with Sonia by this season.
I'm not at Chelsea because she hasn't shown this is her first season, so not at Chelsea. But I think she. How do I put this? I don't want to sound disrespectful at all.
You already forgot her name earlier, too.
No, Emma Hayes is obviously. What I'm saying, I don't know. Emma Hayes is obviously a legend at Chelsea.
Yeah.
It won't reach those levels yet because she's only been a year. But what I'm saying is, outside of Chelsea, maybe apart from the Barcelona manager, like I was saying, I think Sonia is above Emma Hayes.
Wow.
Because she's won the Champions League and everything like that as well. So it's like,
that's not controversial.
No, I'm just saying, but people won't hear it because Emma Hayes is, and rightfully so, Emma Hayes should be thought of as a legend at Chelsea, right? So, but what I'm saying is, in the overall grand scheme of it, because Sonia's been able to get her side, and remember, it was with Leon. We've got a very good women's team and everything, but she managed to get her side. How many times she won it? Is it only once? Or I say only once.
I think twice.
I'll check.
So they met outside of Chelsea. Maybe I think Sonia is maybe a better manager outside. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But with now, if you put her in now the Chelsea machine, I think they might have better resources than Lyon and stuff like that in terms of how they. Because Chelsea, we have to be credit to Chelsea. They really, really support the women's team. You know, in all like finances and stuff like that, and training ground and everything like that. This may be the one to take them over the line in Europe, like Prime saying. It was the only thing really missing from Emma Hayes' CV. Really was she'd been to the Champions League final, but she got thrashed by Barcelona. But that may be they may see this as the optimum person to take them over the line. As before.
Is there really no like transfer market for the women's side of the game?
Yeah.
Because I can't find Sonia Van Pastor on transfer market.
You mean? I'm sorry. I thought you meant an actual like women's transfer market. I thought you were like.
No. I mean like the website, the transfer market website.
I don't know.
Thinking, what the hell? Oh, you know what? I could just go on the wiki and it kind of shows me here.
Yeah, we just started putting the women's players in the FIFA games for the last couple of years. You know what I mean? So
this is true. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research here, but I guess she did win the Champions League. I just don't know.
Yeah, she won the Champions League in 21-22.
Okay, got it. Oh yeah, I found it. Okay, cool. Good for her.
She's won 3 titles. She won 3 on the bounce. 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24.
Oh, she won it as a woman and she won it as a man, as a player. No, not as a woman. Sorry. Yeah. She won it as a player and she won it as a manager.
She won 2 Champions Leagues. She won 2 Champions Leagues as a player back to back. 2010-11 and 11-12. And then as a manager, she won it in 21-22. So the year after the year after we won it. And then actually she beat. Hold on, I'm pretty sure she beat Barcelona. Am I wrong? No.
Let me check. Yeah, it was Barcelona. You're right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. What a great manager to replace Emma Hayes.
Barca would have retained it because they beat us the year before. I wouldn't say. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, and it is a curious case as to why. I think Prime hit the nail on the head as to why the women's side of the game was approached differently than how the men's side of the game was approached in terms of the manager and the recruitment side. But listen, I'm happy that it's still, because I think maybe if I had to put myself in their shoes, maybe the skeleton and the spine of that team was all there and is already set up because, you know, Roman did a good job of building up the women's team, and it was left to you know, Clear Lake in a good condition as well. Whereas the men's team, you know, towards the end of the Tuchel reign, it was starting to fall apart. The wheels were kind of falling off the wagon and stuff, and there was a lot of other things that
someone could have easily come in and still disrupted things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of going, no, we should do it this way or we should do it that way and stuff like that.
Also, the women's team, like, I'm not going to pretend I watch every game because I don't, but I try and keep in touch when I can. Emma has said that, like, I guess like she knew that she was going to leave for a while, and the past like couple of years she's been trying to rebuild Chelsea. So when she does leave, she leaves a good basis for the next manager to come in, which is what she's done.
Yeah,
she's left a brilliant side. Imagine having Sam Kerr, Lauren James in your team. It's ridiculous.
It is pretty crazy. So let the good awards and the form continue. Hopefully after
she
October,
won it as a woman, Marshall.
hopefully in October we continue to see more awards, maybe a goal of the month. But it's exciting to see our team finally, you know, doing things and getting recognized for that. All right, the next topic I want to go to is interesting one, because again, we just spoke about this in the last show, and in very Chelsea fashion, anything related to Chelsea, it always takes a quick twist, and just when you think that United would potentially their next manager after Ten Hag is looking like it's going to be Tuchel, we get hit with this. Sorry, United. You can't have good things. So let's read the tweet. CF Bayern, Bild, all the German outlets have been saying that Thomas Tuchel is negotiating for the England job. Big up Thomas Tuchel. Please do it. Actually, hold on. Why did you fucking... Oh, well, you know what? Christian Pulisic. Fucking... you know what? Get rid of Christian Pulisic. He doesn't need to be the American team. I'd rather have Thomas Tuchel. Come on. Hot take from the American. But listen.
Wait. What?
I'd rather have Thomas Tuchel in the U.S. team than Christian Pulisic.
As a player or manager, you mean?
If I had to pick between having the player or the manager, I'd rather have the manager than the player.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. But it's unfortunate. It looks like he's going to go and get the England job because right now the interim manager, who I forget his name, Lee Carsley, right? Lee Carsley, not looking too impressive right now. The last match kind of put out a lineup that people were just like, oh, this is the lineup we always wanted to see. No organization at all, no tactics, no plan. The players looked lost. We had Cole Palmer playing as a 6. Like, what are we doing here? Tuchel, I think. Here's the thing. I think what Gareth Southgate was able to do was show how well this England side can play defensively. Defensively, England has a strong side. However, what Tuchel will do is take that, but also add attacking prowess to it. Now, whether it'll be good or not, who's to say? But what do you guys think about Thomas Tuchel to England? We talked about this a few seasons back, and it never came to fruition. And now it's back again, and right now the job is open.
Well, it'll probably last longer. Maybe.
All right, fair enough.
He might be able to get the best out of Trent because they're playing him as a right wing back or something like that. So, he might do actually better because he's only got the players a few weeks at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
He's got his Mason Mount back. Well, sorta.
Yeah, he won't be forced to have to choose and play Mount like he was at Chelsea. And I think it's proper midfielders and choices.
He'll probably pick Gallagher.
Maybe.
Yeah, I could see him because he likes that gegenpress. He likes players that can press well, I should say, or aggressive. I don't even know if Gallagher presses well, but go ahead, Server.
The good thing for being an international manager's job, you get to choose yourself the players instead of waiting for transfers to happen or not having involvement and stuff like that. So you're actually able to see what he wants to do, what his actual idea of football is, and when he actually has his own choices instead of being a manager in a club is, just waiting for things to happen. So I don't know.
Left to listen. What will it make a difference for England? I really don't think so. I rate Tuchel, and what Tuchel showed at Chelsea before things got bad is he can put you in situations.
I've got to go do something, so I'll let you off.
No worries, brother. Thanks for tuning in, man. Have a good night.
Remember to subscribe, people, and like the video. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Tuchel has shown at Chelsea that he can put us in certain situations, but it's down to the forward line and the team to actually execute that. I'll be honest, like people talk bad about Southgate he got England to 2 finals, back-to-back European finals, and like 4 or 5 semi-finals.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as people can say on the day Southgate may have got it wrong, I guess fine, but the players also didn't turn up. I remember watching that Euros final. England went 1-0 up very early, and the players like bottled it. If England could have defended that set piece against Italy, England win that final because Italy had no like attacking threat in that final. The final against Spain, England went 1-1, got back into the game, and then they fell asleep near the end. Like against was it Croatia, the semi-final? Again, just like not being aware. I look at the same thing. Tuchel will set them up correctly defensively, but do you trust Kane to turn up in big games? He doesn't. For England, Foden rarely ever turns up for them when it matters. What, Rashford will probably end up playing? How consistent is Rashford? Do you guys trust him? Like, I don't. I look at England. You guys are just going to keep hiring managers to be able to get you to certain situations, and you end up blaming them. You guys want Tuchel now, but I remember when he was at Chelsea, people were calling him a fraud. So because our forward line wasn't scoring, even though we all said our forward line isn't good. So you're going to go to England, and then you're going to blame Tuchel when you guys don't win, even though you guys have all said Kane is past it and shouldn't be playing anymore. You guys won't criticize Kane. You won't criticize Saka when he doesn't turn up. You won't criticize Palmer. You won't criticize Foden. You won't criticize these players. You'll just blame Southgate. You'll blame Declan Rice. You'll blame this guy. You blame that guy. You won't criticize your star players. It won't matter. It won't make a difference. I love Tuchel, but going to England is the wrong move. It will destroy his career. Don't go to England. Don't go Man United. Like, pick better decisions. Because Ancelotti could possibly be sacked by Real Madrid. That job will be available, and they will look at him. Because people can say what they want, but like this Bayern stint Tuchel just had, I don't put all of it on him. I'll be so honest. That has been a failing Bayern side for a few years, and it's unfortunate that with him they completely fell apart. It's been a failing Bayern side since they won the Champions League in 2019-2020. Because that side wasn't good enough that season to even win the Champions League, but because of like COVID and stuff like that, they were just able to hit a vein of form during the COVID playoff times. Like, I don't know. I don't think it'll be Tuchel. I really don't. I think Tuchel's a smart man. I don't see why he will go to England or go to Man United, because with that same logic, he could have just managed US. US for me is a more attractive opposition than England, because at least with the US, you can win some trophies. You can win the Gold Cup. You have the World Cup at home. You can take that US team out of the group, and if you win a knockout game, that's a success. Like, it's easier to succeed with the US than it would be with England, because you're not going to win anything realistically. You know, I actually like Tuchel. I don't want him to go to England and fail.
The thing is, though, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm more optimistic for Tuchel when it comes to England. I think when you look at what recently got England the closest they ever got to a trophy, right? Since their World Cup. You look at recent form, and it was Southgate both times. The fact that twice in a row Southgate was able to get them, and I know that, you know, obviously football isn't completely about just winning trophies. Obviously, it's weird when it comes to international football, because when it comes to international football, trophies are the measurement of success and progress. However, when it comes to league football, that's not necessarily the case. Where you are in a league plays a big factor as well. Otherwise, then Erik ten Hag is the second most successful manager in the Premier League in recent time, and I would vehemently disagree with that. However, when it comes to international football, and we're looking at what Gareth Southgate did for England, I understand the frustration, and I understand that England, to an extent, also got very lucky to have gotten as far as they got in the latest Euros. They played worse in this recent Euros than they did in the first Euros with Gareth Southgate.
Do you think saying that is fair?
Saying what exactly?
Like
that they got lucky?
People try and use the luck argument, but I've seen, like, because this England generation, I don't think it's that good in compared to, like, England of 10, 15 years ago. I don't think it's that good.
I agree with that.
Better England sides, like, crumble against equal or lesser sides that England faced in this last Euros. So I don't think it's luck.
I think it's a mixture of a few things. I think part of it is the way the manager set you guys up in the sense of what players he chose, right? Because Gareth Southgate likes to play players he trusts, which is why you see a Maguire, despite being on shit form and playing 0 games, he trusts Maguire. That's why he calls him up. That's why he plays him. How long did it take for Jordan Henderson to get kicked off of that team, essentially? Because he was relying on Jordan Henderson because of his experience and all that stuff. Not to say Tuchel doesn't do that to an extent, but I remember sitting here and having a conniption because I saw Timo Werner start the Champions League final. And at the end of the day, I shut up because Tuchel was right. He got the right lineup. I didn't want Jorginho to start. I wanted Kovacic to start. Jorginho had a magnificent performance. So on and so forth. So, like, and you know what? To have Thiago Silva come off of that game and you rely on Christensen, Tuchel is the type of manager that will give players a chance to prove that they can help him in this team. And I think, Surfer said this earlier before he left, that he has more of a selection now. I think he's gonna have a good team. He's gonna set them up similarly to how Southgate set them up and got them close to a trophy. But I think doing it that way, I think Tuchel will get it over the line. And to answer your question before too, Prime, I think this English team is a bit overrated compared to previous English teams. But one thing that this England side doesn't have that previous England sides had was an issue with rivalries in the locker room. I think that was always a big thing. You've heard Lampard talk about it. You heard Rio talk about it. You heard Gerrard talk about it, how like it was club before country, and the Chelsea lot would hang out with the Chelsea lot, the United lot with the United lot, so on and so forth. And there wasn't really like club harmony. I don't feel that with this England side any like I did, back then. I don't feel that with this England side. I feel like this England side, they do like each other. They do get along with one another, and you can tell they kind of like
Southgate. That's credit to
Southgate.
But like I agree, there's better squad harmony now. But like even look at England,
quick, Prime, just to finish my point too. I think this team is overrated, but at the same time, I don't think Southgate ever let them reach their best potential.
I disagree. I think they have reached their best potential. I'll be honest, they have. Like, the last World Cup, England got to the quarter. People, like, I remember the 2021 Euros going into it, right? A lot of people said they won't make it past, like, the round of 16. And I said, if England get a favourable draw, Southgate can set them up correctly and take them to the final. I remember predicting this. I've got evidence of it up on YouTube. And people were like, no, they won't go far. People were making bets with me they get knocked out by Germany. And I said, no, they'll go far. They ended up getting to the final and losing. Southgate set them up correctly in that final, and the players lost the final. People want to talk about the penalty shootouts, but like penalty shootouts can be a 50-50. On the day, the 90 minutes to 120, do you actually do enough to perform? The players didn't. The last World Cup, when they got knocked out by France, people telling me saying England won't go far if they face a big side in the quarterfinal to get knocked out. People saying they're not better than France. Okay, they go play France. Did England score first? Oh no, France scored first. England equalized. Kane missed a penalty near the end and a free kick near the end. Giroud got the winning goal. France won 2-1. And people still blame Southgate, even though England are not better than France. And yet that game was still very, very close. This last Euros, people saying England will struggle in their group. People are saying this is Southgate, it's done, they're finished. England won't make it far. It's Southgate takes them to another final. And they lost. So we can't keep saying Southgate won't do anything. And then when he does something that people are not expecting and still say that he's failed. How can you fail when I exceed your expectations you set of me? Mm-hmm. And this would be the same thing with Tuchel with England. Tuchel's not winning them Tuchel's not going to win them a major trophy. I'll just be honest. He's not winning a World Cup. He's not going to win a Euros. And this has nothing to do with Tuchel's ability. I rate Tuchel. I think it will put them in a position to be able to win. But when I look at the mentality, I trust France, if they get in a position in a final to win, that they'll get over the line. Regardless of what I think of like Argentinian players on a personal level, I trust them. I trust if they get to another final, they'll get over the line. I trust Italy. Italy had no attacking threat whatsoever in 2021, and they were still able to win it because they were able to get over the line. They had leaders, they had warriors. I trust these nations. England haven't shown me on the international stage they have the mentality to get over the line.
I feel like what you're saying is a little disingenuous because, Italy won it the previous Euros in 2021, right?
Yeah.
What did they do in the recent Euros? They got knocked out pretty early, didn't they? They got knocked out in not even group stages. They got knocked out in round of 16, I want to say.
Yeah.
They got knocked out, essentially. But what Gareth Southgate managed to do was make it to the finals twice in a row. And I'm not saying...
Yes, I rate Southgate.
But okay, I don't rate Southgate like that. But I think
I'm not... No, when I say I rate Southgate, I'm not saying like he's a top manager or coach or he's world class or anything. And if you want people, you can even call him average. That's fine. I won't necessarily disagree with you. But what he was able to do at England makes him great for England.
That's what confuses me though, because you say you trust France to be able to win a trophy over England, yet France failed to score a single goal up until the last game, I think, until they got knocked out. I forgot the stat because the Euros was such a long time ago, but their only goal was an own goal.
I know, but France underperformed by their expectations. England overperformed. Do you see the difference?
I understand, yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, a result's a result. I'm gonna base my trust based on the results, not the expectations, really.
Yeah, results are results. So then, shouldn't we praise England for their result?
Yeah, I just think what England's biggest issue was always, in my opinion, in this Euros especially, was the player selection. Phil Foden. No, the reason I say that, Prime, is because there was no reason why Cole Palmer should not have been playing in that team. I'll be so honest with you, and I think you can agree with me. Yeah. Why was Phil Foden playing over Cole Palmer? There's no reason to.
I agree on that.
And even like positioning wise, like that first game, why would you play Trent in the midfield in the DM position of all places? Why? You know he's not defensively sound.
I think this last Euros, Southgate did everything people were criticizing him not doing. Everyone had for years before had been saying, "Oh, Trent's eventual position is in midfield. Trent's a midfielder. He's not really a right." Marshall, people have been saying that. Southgate played in midfield.
I know you're right. I always disagree with that stuff, though. I just think he's a shit defensive player.
So did I. But people kept saying it. Southgate did it and exposed it. People kept saying, "Oh, play Saka and Foden and Bellingham together. It will work. It will work." He did it. He exposed it. Southgate exposed all the big flaws of what people were saying. People saying, leave Rice alone in a sole pivot. Leave him alone in a sole pivot. Rice can sit on his own. It showed Rice couldn't play on his own. Southgate exposed all the bad. Big up ours, man. Southgate exposed all these bad takes and criticisms about him, about England. He exposed it all. They still got to the final like they did the previous Euros and still didn't win. So whether it's Southgate's tactics or the tactics that you England fans wanted, it's still not good enough to win, proving the point these players are not good enough. I don't trust, if England get to another final, whether it's Tuchel, whether it's Pep, I don't trust them to get over the line. But I will trust France, because I know if they get to that position, I know Mbappe will turn it on. I trust Argentina, because if they get to that position, Messi will turn it on. I trust Italy, because I know they'll stink out a game and win it 1-0. I trust Portugal, because I know they'll find a way. I trust these nations. I don't trust England. People can say I'm being salty and negative. I've been watching England, the national team, for as long as I've been watching football. I've been watching the England national team longer than I've been watching Nigeria and Ireland. I've been watching England my whole life. You're not a big nation. You're truly not. These sides don't fear you.
Yeah, but I see. Like, I wanna agree with you, but at the same time, like, I just recall, I go back to that player selection with Southgate. I don't think Tuchel comes into the England side and sees Harry Kane put stinker after stinker after stinker and say, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna play you in the final. Like, I think he sees an Ollie Watkins score a goal and then he tries Ollie Watkins, or he sees Ivan Toney and he tries Ivan Toney a few times.
No other nation does that though. Mbappe stunk in the Euros, but yeah, he still gets played. I've seen Messi have bad games for Argentina, but yet still get played. I've seen Ronaldo have bad games before Ronaldo fell off for Portugal, and he still gets played. Big nations Big nations won't drop their best players.
Bro, Vinny has stunk for Brazil as long as he's had an international career, and even the Brazilian people are asking him to get dropped, and no coach that comes in has the balls to drop him.
No big nation will drop their best players in major tournaments. Because you know why? If you drop him and then you still end up losing, then you're the fool that dropped your best player that could have won you the game.
I think, I genuinely think that Thomas Tuchel probably doesn't give a shit about that. And maybe I'm wrong. The same Tuchel that didn't drop Havertz and Mount when I got bad. That same Tuchel.
The Bermuda Triangle.
I love Tuchel, by the way. I love Tuchel, but like, we know he has his favorites. We know Tuchel will do some weird stuff at England. And granted, it may work.
I'm admitting Tuchel does have his favorites, Marshall. Come on, man.
The England fans won't. That's why I kept saying that when people said bring Jose to England, Jose won't work at England because you guys won't allow him to be Jose. You guys won't allow him to drop Trent from the squad completely.
Bro, I think the English FA wouldn't even let him. I'm gonna be real with you, like
exactly. That's why Tuchel won't go to England because he won't be allowed to be Tuchel. You have to. These top managers, these eccentric managers, you have to allow them to be them. You have to allow Pep to be a Pep. You have to allow Fergie to be Fergie. You have to allow Jose to be Jose. You have to allow Tuchel to be Tuchel. Unless, if you don't want to go down that route, then get a quote-unquote yes man like Southgate and like, what's his name, Lee Carsley. Get someone who would toe a party line.
I mean, the Carsley got a taste of what that's like, and he's like, yeah, hell no, bro, I don't even want the job, to be real. He's like, I can't even leave my under 21s. I'll tell you, it's the English FA, it's the media, and it's the fans. Like, it's all three. It's actual hell, bro.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see who does take that England job for real. Because it was just funny because last week we were literally just talking about how Tuchel's going to take the United job and eventually is now negotiating the England job. And it's like, well, shit, man. Like, so much for United. Well, I'd rather him go to England than United, so fuck that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the fuck happens. And yeah, we're here for it. If he does take the England job, then I will hope he does well for England. I hope he gets my international team manager sacked, and we move from there. All right, let's go on to the next topic.
I saw 45 minutes of He Who Shall Not Be Named with my dad last night because the game was on, and let me tell you, that midfield, the island. Like if you're getting ran through, if Panama is running
the
through
island
the midfield,
is back, bro.
No, bro, they were getting ran through in the midfield, bro. They were getting bopped around the park by Panama. I knew it was over, bro. I'm telling you right now. And they're like, no, but attacking, we look so good. The pressing is so promising. I'm like, brother.
Listen, I told myself, and listen, I mean this, and I hate to do this, but I just genuinely, I have an agenda, okay? I am admitting it here on Casually FC. I have an agenda. I never liked the Argentinian steakhouse fraud. I'm just telling you, until he leaves that job, I am not watching a U.S. game. I hate to say it. I'm watching Peru, and Peru, hey, my boys in Peru, caused the upset. Hey, they caused the upset. We're not in last place anymore.
I can't lie, bro. Like, shout out Uruguay, bro, because Uruguay did something that I thought, you know, they were doing their best impression of Jesus, bro, because they really resurrected the dead. How do you let Peru get a 1-0 win, bro? Peru and Chile gotta be the deadest teams in South America, bro. I can't lie, bro.
Yo, wait, and I gotta say, like, this is totally off topic, but just to bring it up, because RSM actually, you know, he's South American like me, and he actually knows what's going on in that South American qualifier. Bro, Bolivia's got the strap, bro. They set up World War II strats.
Like, what is this, bro? Like there's a level of, like, I don't even know how you're just like, we play at like what, like 3,000,
4,000,
like
4,000.
No, but before their old stadium was like 3,500, and then they're like, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna go even higher. They're playing at the highest altitude stadium in the world, bro. The city is literally just called the Tall. That's what the city's called.
Yeah, El Alto.
When you translate the name, it's just the Tall. Like, it's insane, and it's working, bro. Like, teams are going there and they're getting absolutely decimated by the second half. They have no legs.
It's insane.
I gotta give it to them, bro. I gotta give it to them.
Yeah, but then they're gonna get clapped in the World Cup if they make it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, no home team, no home field advantage, but at least we made it.
They're altitude merchants, bro. They're altitude merchants. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, it's insane. Like, they really took that and like just ran with it. So hey, whatever works for them. Literally World War II strats, bro.
They're on the Cinderella run, bro.
Yo, it's insane to see, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, next topic is a topic that we had last week, and is Casadei. Casadei had an interview, and he spoke about a few things, including freaking U.S. manager. Let's go ahead and get into it with the first tweet that I have right here for you guys, which is this one right here. Casadei, I was thrilled when I saw Enzo Maresca arrive at Stamford Bridge. I'm not the only one who has already worked with him. Dewsbury Hall came from Leicester. Palmer and Lavia played under him at Manchester City. He also said here, playing in another position. The coaches asked me to drop a little this season, let's say as a holding midfielder. When you play high up the pitch, you can take some risks too, but you can't do that in defense as an error could be bigger, which is very, very true, obviously.
Yep.
Casadei Maresca, I like the way he sees football. We are working well under his guidance. I think he's a top coach because he can get the best out of everyone. He's exigent. I've never heard that word in my life. He's exigent as you expect him to be. We are at Chelsea and we have great expectations. Continues on to say, it was pretty hard under Pochettino because I only made a few appearances as a substitute. 11 games, but only 71 minutes on the pitch. I wasn't too happy. Everyone would like to play more. Not happy under Poch.
I'd be pissed if I saw Gallagher play full 90s an entire season. I'm be real, bro. Not on the bench. Like, I get him, bro.
Mauricio, I can't.
We continue on. I decided to stay at Chelsea in the summer as I spoke to Maresca, and he's been very clear. I didn't have any doubt. I decided to stay and didn't consider any loan personally. I'm so proud to be at Chelsea, and I'm not planning for a January move, so big up to him as well. And the last thing I have here on Cesar Casadei is Maresca has been very clear since day one. We understand his tactical plan immediately. I want to become an important player for Chelsea. I will give my best. It's one of the best clubs in the world. I'm working hard. And here's the thing. I said, I'll put this up publicly. I did put this on the Discord, so join the Discord if you haven't already joined the Discord. We have some interesting conversation and debates over on there, and we do watch-alongs over there as well. But I said on the Discord some time ago that under at Leicester, this is how much I believe in this player. At Leicester, I thought Casadei would be player of the season. I was wrong. He didn't get the whole season. And he didn't get to play that much.
Check the chat, Marshall. Check the chat.
All right, I'll check the chat in a minute. But what I will say, thank you, Prime. Exigent, pressing, and demanding. Learning with Prime. This is phenomenal stuff here. But
hey, I'm not proper Chelsea.
Not proper chess. So, ladies
God,
and
that
gentlemen,
combo, bro.
But
I'll never drop
say,
it. I'll never.
Also, big up to Dark for the month by month, 19 months membership. Big up to you, my friend. Glad to see you in the chat. But with Casadei, right? One thing I know is that this guy's basically his position, the one he basically plays all the time that he's comfortable with, is a 10 position or attacking 8. He's always been an attacking player. He's a good box crasher. But this season he's being asked to play as a 6, and I'll be honest, I've been impressed. I haven't been disappointed. Like, I think he's done a shift. Obviously, they're not, the upper echelon teams. It's not like he's doing it against, like, Liverpool or Arsenal or West Ham or whatever, top tier flight teams. But the fact that he's being asked to do a role that he's not comfortable with and he's doing it pretty well, I think when the time comes and he is asked to play his role, I think it's going to only make him a better player. So I think he's only 19 as well, or not even 19, 20. Cesare Casadei is 20 years old, I believe. 21. So he's still really young, and listen, he may not be lighting it up on the pitch right now, but he's showing promising signs and good development and growth. He's keeping his head down. He's staying humble, and he's taking whatever minutes he can get. Very much like a Renato Vega. Very much like how he's approached it and how he's just happy to be at the club. I know he's competing with Cucurella, and when he asked about it, he's like, look, we're just a team, and he's a phenomenal player, and I'm just happy to be at Chelsea. I think Casadei has the same attitude, and I respect it. What do you guys think?
I think Casadei, like I said, I think he should promise. I think Maresca didn't lie to him. Like, he's been starting the cup and the conference games for the most part. And yeah, I think the first couple games, like, he definitely looked kind of shaky, but I think he's like found the confidence he was looking for. I think especially in that holding midfielder position, you really need to be confident in yourself, because if you start second guessing yourself, like that half a second in that 6th position, like you get cooked. And I think he's starting to, find his position in the team. He's looking more and more confident. He's looking better. The game against Barrow, I remember like the first half, I think he didn't look, he looked a bit off of it, but he came alive in the second half. And I think that's also the positive thing about having such a strong B team, is if somebody isn't performing in the B team, the performance of the team, like, what is that saying, bro? Like a rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing, right? So where you even saw that with KDH, like he looked frustrated, but the team kept attacking. So because he kept attacking, we allowed him to be able to get the opportunity to score his goal, and he looked like a completely different player after that. But yeah, I'm impressed with Casadei, and I'm excited to see more of him. I think we're probably gonna end up seeing Casadei play some minutes in the back-to-back fixtures against Newcastle, because there's no way we play the A team, the exact same 11 back-to-back like that. Or at least I doubt it, especially considering, the way that they're treating injuries right now in the team. So I'd be excited to see how he stacks up against the Newcastle as well, or at least Newcastle's B team.
And that's the other thing that I've been impressed with Casadei is that, like, listen, he's not lighting up the pitch, like I said, and he's not the cleanest on the ball. Like, you could tell it's not his position, but he's still putting in a shift. He's still putting in some tackles. He's still pressing well and gaining some balls. He's like, he's doing a job, and that's good. I want to see like a young player eager to impress, right? Eager to play whatever position is given to him. Very much like KDH. I feel KDH has the same attitude. Like, he doesn't care where he plays as long as he plays. Like, he will prove his worth. He'll prove that he can do something. And that's the way Casadei's approaching it, and kudos for him. I'm glad he didn't leave. I mean, obviously, I would have preferred to have like an Andrea Santos in the team. I feel like his role would have been great this season, considering we need more 6s and natural 6s at that. Not Santos is an 8, but he's played as a 6, and he does a good job as a 6. Or even Leslie Guchuko is another one too that could have gotten a good shout to stay. But listen, if Casadei still keeps performing like this, I have no gripes. I'm content. So that's that on Casadei. Unless Prime, you want to say something on Casadei as well?
Just chill on this guy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Just chill. All right, yeah. Well, whatever. Not everyone rates him, So
no, I mean, I don't rate him highly, but I still,
I think he's just a decent squad player for now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's
he
got
is,
potential
but-
though. I just want to see him play in his actual position.
I think he has to show me
Potential.
before I think he has potential. I'll be with you.
Potential. He's never going to get to play in his actual position. And as a 6, we've got better
Yeah, not in
sixes.
this team.
So, listen, that pure profit when that rolls in next summer, I'll be there.
You see, he'll be there.
I want my money, bro.
Collect the bank, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. It's been something that's been talked about a lot recently, and as a result, I feel like we need to talk about it. And that's going to be.
Who I think we're talking about?
What are we talking about?
Wait, here, hold on. I'm gonna do the drum roll, and Prime, you're gonna announce the next topic because I think you know what it is. All right, you ready, Prime? Here goes.
There's this stupid links. I was about to speak, then you laughed.
Who is it?
There are these stupid links going around of Reece James to Barcelona and Benfica because of his injuries and whatever. And I just want to come out and say no.
Oh no, that was not.
I just want to come out and say no. Don't believe those rumors, Chelsea fans. Okay.
Well, that
No,
wasn't what I
you know
was
the funny part is
talking
if you literally click the article, it just says he was gonna go there because apparently the warmer weather is gonna help with his healing. Like they meant Barcelona the city, but people
My
just
dude's not a
time to
chameleon, bro.
clickbait. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, no,
Stop
my
it.
dude's not
Listen,
Iguana.
it's fine.
Also, that's not who we're gonna talk about.
Respect my captain.
No, I thought you knew who we were gonna talk about, but I'm
Nani
just gonna say it
Madueke.
here. No, close, but Enzo Fernandez. So, listen, we got to talk about this because
get
I
rid of
feel
him.
like
I don't care. Get rid of him.
I feel like there's a lot of people that I've been bringing it up recently. The lack of performances, and obviously when people talk about Enzo Fernandez, you can't talk about Enzo Fernandez without talking about how much he cost Chelsea. So let's go ahead and bring up some tweets here, and then we'll discuss whether we agree or not, and what exactly the solution is, and if we're maybe we're seeing it through anti-Enzo tinted glasses. So let's go ahead and whip out the first tweet here from Vince. Now, this is purely his opinion, and let's see what he says here. That's the thing about, he's responding to this. Name one player in our squad that is capable of playing Enzo Fernandez's role in and out of possession at a higher level than Enzo. And so he responds to his own tweet saying that that's the thing about most fans. They will keep making noise even when there's clearly no better option. And he's not wrong. I mean, I don't think there's a player in our team that has a profile similar to Enzo that can do what Enzo does, which is the long balls and the creative passing and thread the needle passing. Wait, let me just get to all the tweets and then we'll discuss all this stuff. But continuing on. They'll keep making noise even when it's clearly no better option. Maresca was asked about Enzo's role last month, and he said he doesn't have any other player who can play as a 10/6, the Gundogan role. He said, "We are trying to find a balance and find players who can give us this kind of solution. At the moment, Enzo is the only one. When we have the ball, he is playing like an attacking midfield and is dropping next to Moy when we don't have the ball to help us and give us defensive balance. Yet every time it's Enzo this, Enzo that, name better option, and you can't. Only Andre Santo has a profile, but he's out on loan. You need to chill for now. When he returns, we see how he performs and if he's at the level to compete with Enzo. But among our players, he's the most suitable for that role. I even think he could do better than Enzo in attack and off the ball. Time will tell." And he's obviously giving Santos his flowers there. We continue on here. Last season, Enzo Fernandez took the bulk of his touches in the center midfield under Pochettino while operating more on the left side of the middle third and on the pitch. So this is basically his touch chart, you want to call it that, where he get most of his touches in the season. And a lot of it is on the left-hand side. He was very more left-hand oriented than the rest of the pitch. I'm sure Moises Caicedo was more of this role regardless. Then we look at this season, and it's a lot more dominant on this side. So he says here, Liam Toomey says, "So far this season, as as the left-sided number 8 in Maresca's system, Enzo Fernandez is getting more of his touches slightly higher up the pitch and even more focused on the left side. The shifts in where the ball is finding him are subtle but clearly noticeable. So a lot more dominant on the left side, more touches on higher up the pitch. We continue on. Enzo Fernandez's single best attribute might be his ability to identify and play progressive passes. So it is fair to ask if moving him higher in midfield and giving him the ball to feet much less often truly maximizes him. Enzo Fernandez is averaging 66.3 touches per 90 in the Premier League this season, according to FBref, down from 86.9 touches per 90 minutes in the Pochettino season. This is a big drop, which is due to him being far less involved in Chelsea's progression build-up in the defensive and middle thirds. His attacking third touches per 90 are virtually identical to this season and last. So similar amount of touches from last season to this season. We continue on. Enzo Fernandez is averaging more attempted tackles per 90, 3.9 in the Premier League than any Chelsea player not named Caicedo this season, but his success rate is 40.9%. Only marginally better than Madueke, who is 40%. Caicedo, by comparison, wins the ball 70.4% of the time.
Jesus, fucking 70 is a ton. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's your boy, dude.
That's actually kind of insane numbers. Hold on, I didn't even know that.
That's
crazy,
your god, bro. Yeah.
Wait, go back
Caicedo.
to wait.
Caicedo, by comparison, wins the ball 70.4% of the time.
On tackles.
That's three. You win 3/4 of the duels or 3/4 of your tackles, which is insane. Whereas Enzo is winning
40.
less than half of his tackles.
That's bad.
Which it's not good, but we also knew going into this transfer. Well, I would at least like to say that this panel knew.
That's his weakness, so that's not surprising.
Defensively, he is not Jorginho. He's the opposite of Jorginho. He's better attacking wise. Jorginho, they had. So I remember pulling up the triangle, the seismic chart, the fucking earthquake chart, whatever the fuck those things are, the Pentagon thing, whatever the hell you know the circle thing. I don't know what the hell the thing is called. I remember looking at Jorginho's and Enzo's in comparison, and in the middle it was the same, but Enzo, when it came to attack, was up here and less on the defense, and then Jorginho was higher on the defense and less on the attack. So they're just yin and yang. They're the same player, but one's better in attack and one's better in defense. So that's why I'm not surprised by this stat.
But when you say, actually, never mind. You get
two
to
more. Enzo Fernandez's effort and energy are not in question. He presses as hard as his body will allow as part of Chelsea's broader structure without ball, and he generally works hard to regain a more defensive midfield position nearer to Caicedo when the situation requires him to do so. And that's one thing I'm not going to deny. He is a workhorse. But we continue on. So yeah, and then we leave off where we started, which is name one player in our squad that is capable of playing Enzo Fernandez's role in and out of possession at a higher level than Enzo. And Prime, I'll give the floor to you because I'm sure you have a lot to say.
I do have a lot to say. Like I've said, my criticism of Enzo Fernandez is not about his weaknesses. Like what you brought up there about his duels, I know that about him anyway. So it's not surprising, and I don't really care per se about that. What I do care about is his strengths, the fact that he's meant to be the one that's meant to control our midfield, and we don't control the midfield enough. That for me is the problem. When you look at Harry Winks last season, he was the one that was playing as the single pivot, the defensive midfielder, with one of the fullbacks inverted with him. The reason why we can't do that with Enzo is because he's not really defense-minded. If we had Jorginho on the team, for example, he'd be able to sit deeper, and then which would allow like a Caicedo to push forward, like indeed he did last season, and play that like pressing role. But we can't do that with Enzo. Instead, we have to switch it and have Caicedo sit, which I guess is fine. It's working so far, and have Enzo kind of having this attacking 8 role, which doesn't suit him because even though you said he's the opposite to Jorginho, well, Jorginho couldn't attack either, just like Enzo. They're not attacking players, they're tempo controllers. But Enzo doesn't consistently control the tempo of our midfield. That's why I'm so frustrated about him. It's not about his weaknesses, it's about his supposed strengths. He can't, like, when I look at, and Maresca has said this, the Brighton game, the first half, it was a basketball game. We didn't control it at all. The game against Wolves first half, basketball game. We need to start controlling games better. I praised Enzo and Caicedo for the second half against Brighton, how we were able to calm the game down and have a lot of control over it in the second half. And then the game against Nottingham Forest, he was just non-existent. He can't keep doing that for a big money signing as well, over 100 mil, and you're not looking good on a consistent basis. It's a problem for me, and that's why I want Shrewsbury Hall in the team, because at least maybe he's not the same talent of an Enzo, but at least he understands Maresca's system, the philosophy, and he'll be able to actually execute it properly. Enzo's not doing that consistently for me. So I don't know. I understand why people see his talent, but people look at his talent and assume that like he's the finished article. He's nowhere near it, and he's not showing for me that he's worth trusting and building with. For me, this is the last season for him, and he's our captain or vice captain. So it's even more important now that he works out, because he's going to have to play, and there are going to be games where he's going to be a detriment for us.
Check this out, because I found the charts that I was actually talking about. Let's look at this one first. This is in, I think this was, I don't know if this was actually in 2023 or 2022. We still had Jorginho. This is when we were rumored and linked with Enzo, right? When we were fighting for him at Benfica and all, so on and so forth. You see how, like, when you look at the offensive stats when it comes to the passing, when Jorginho wasn't, I think, Prime, maybe you, actually RSM and Prime, you could probably correct me on this. I feel like when Jorginho first came from Napoli, and he was in this Maurizio Sarri system, I feel like people had this idea that Jorginho was a progressive passer, that he could ping a pass very much like, you know, what Enzo does. But I think it was very much that he was the role that you just said, Prime, the tempo setter. He would pass back and forth, keep possession, more than try to make the risky passes to Giroud or Pedro and so on and so forth, which he did do from time to time. Like, who could forget the pass that he had to Kai Havertz versus Newcastle, and Havertz just fucking last minute
the one
dinked
against
it in.
Tammy, the one against Tammy under Lampard in 1920. The thing with Jorginho is he can play those risky passes. The reason why he doesn't is because, like, he's a regista. His role in the team is to keep the possession and keep the ball ticking over. Like, I'm looking at Jorginho. If I'm in his role and my forwards are old man Willian, old man Pedro, Alvaro Morata, Higuain, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Timo Werner, Romelu Lukaku, Christian Pulisic, Callum Hudson-Odoi. I'm not going to spam the ball forward all the time, because you know what will happen.
That's crazy, bro.
I hear that. Yeah, those are shit.
You know what happens? I play the ball forward. It bounces off of Havertz, or Mason Mount plays the wrong through ball, or Callum Hudson-Odoi kicks and runs the ball out of play, or Werner misses a sitter, or Lukaku fails to control the ball, or Higuain's fat, and then we end up losing the ball. We get countered on, and then we concede. And you know who gets the blame? Jorginho.
Yeah, of course.
So I'd rather just keep the ball and pass it to Kante, get it back from Kante, play it to Silva, get it back from Silva, play it out on the right wing to Reece James, get it back from James, and keep the ball. That makes a lot more sense. In this team, though, that we have, I think Jorginho would play more risky passes, because I trust Palmer, I trust Jackson, I trust Madueke, Sancho, I trust these attackers to actually convert to their chances, or at the minimum, at least keep the ball once they have it. I don't trust the other forwards that we have. So it's annoying that a good Jorginho would actually be perfect for us right now. People don't see that. That's the player Enzo should actually be, is Jorginho.
So when we look at these stats here, real quick, RSM, when we look at these stats here, like, chances created, that's an offensive passing stat. Passes attempted, pass accuracy. Pass accuracy is pretty close, to be honest. So, I mean, don't be thrown off too much by the red here. But passes attempted, long passes attempted. These are all like through balls attempted, long pass accuracy. A lot of these are like offensive passing stats, which is what Fernandez was pretty much touted for. And then we look at the defensive side of it: tackles made, ground tools, interceptions. Jorginho's winning those stats, which again, when you look at, because that's the other thing too, when we're talking about this whole Enzo dilemma, right? I feel like people want to point out the fact that he isn't good at defending. He's not a good in the six. He's not winning his duels and so on and so forth. I never expected him to. I never expected him to. It's one of those things that you're putting expectations on him.
This is the thing, though, is that there is people might think it's not a big jump, but going down from what he had there at 52% down to 40%. It's such a noticeable thing, especially in the mid.
Noticeable.
Like winning less than half your duels and winning half your duels is game changing. It's that serious. That's why I was like, Caicedo's at 70. Like 70 is the type of shit that wins you games by itself.
Yeah.
But 50 is like, it's like the baseline. You should be winning at least half. The fact that he's losing more than half points to an issue defensively for him. And I agree, like we didn't tout him for that. But I think even I don't know if this stat was correct, but I think when you looked at certain games, there will be times when, like, and this is where I think I agree with Prime, is that like he is not, like, not even speaking about his weaknesses, but speaking about his strengths. Is, we talk about his long passing, we talk about that vision, but like really, other than the Brighton game, when was he pinging passes like that?
Yeah.
Like last season, especially towards the tail end of last season. Again, I am going to give him like the the injury tax. He was playing with a hernia, and that's understandable. But even now, the start to this season, I haven't seen a game where, like, for at least Caicedo, I can point like the West Ham game. Like, this is the game, right? This is the game where you like justified that, like, maybe, like, I don't think any six is worth like 100+ mil, but like at least an 80-90 mil player, that was the performance right there. For Enzo, like, I need that performance. I'm gonna be honest, like, now today.
But with Caicedo, like, for example, someone said in the Nottingham Forest game, Caicedo didn't play well. I think he had a good game. But for someone like Caicedo, a ball winner, I'm only going to notice how brilliant you are when we play the big side. So against Liverpool, that's when I'm expecting Caicedo to have that 8, 9 out of 10. That's what I've expected from Kante. The big games is when you're supposed to be at your best. But for someone like Enzo, I don't care about the 45-yard split ball. I don't care about that. I care about you keeping the game simple and controlling the game. If we were able to control the game against Crystal Palace, we could win that game 1-0.
Like, which is reminding me of Prime. I don't know if you remember this too much. Like last game against Forest, remember? I think we were in our own half, and Enzo was on the left, like near the touchline, and they passed it to him, and like it was maybe one of the worst touch I've ever seen Enzo have in a Chelsea shirt. He like touched it, and it went like a mile in front of him towards our goal, and the Forest player beat him to it. And I'm like, what did I watch from a professional football player? Like,
it's simple. Like, if we could control our games more, we have an extra 2 points because we win against Crystal Palace. Like, part of why it got so hectic is because we allowed them to get back into the game. One, because we didn't finish our chances, but two, because we just didn't get a foothold in the game and control it. And that's what I want from Enzo. I've seen him play those line-breaking passes. I remember against Man City, the first game of the season, he played a split ball to the left or to the right-hand side for Gusto. Gusto got in behind. He put a cross in the box, and there was no one there, and the ball went out of play. Like, that's a good sequence of movement for Chelsea from Enzo, which I credit him for that. But that's not, like, I just want him to do the simple things. I don't care about the extravagantness of your game. Just keep it simple. Get your foot on the ball and control it for us, because we need that. If we're playing this possession style, then part of being a possession-based team is being able to keep possession of the ball.
Yep.
And I don't think we do that enough consistently. And the thing is, Enzo's profile, I actually like players that keep hold of the ball. That's why I love Jorginho and I defended him. Pirlo is my favorite player of all time. I love those sort of players. That's what frustrates me even more about Enzo, because he doesn't do that consistently, but yet he has the attributes to do it.
Let me ask you guys something, because I've had this chart up for a little bit now, right? This is Jorginho's overall stats when it comes to midfield stats, that are important. And it doesn't look too shabby. It doesn't look that impressive. Now let me show you Enzo's stats when he was at Benfica. It's like I don't think this is the player I'm seeing. Like this doesn't is it Liga Nos tax? Is it just wrong system? Is the Premier League too much for him? Like I don't know, because these are I remember seeing it and knowing he was more of an offensive player, but this is really, really big difference to what I'm actually seeing now.
My issue is I even watch Argentina. I don't understand why he doesn't even do that for us. That's my issue, bro. I watch Argentina. He performs defensively for them in the midfield as well.
Thank you. This is what I'm saying.
It just frustrates me, bro.
He's not people saying he's an offensive player. He's not. He's a deep line player. When he first came to Chelsea, we were playing him in a 2-man or 3-man midfield as our deepest player. He was doing the Jorginho role, and he was doing it quite well in the second half of the season. So
we were even saying it would have been great if we had Jorginho and him at the same time. We saw Jorginho
because
at the same
he would have been a perfect understudy to Jorginho. But last season, I give him kind of credit. I think, considering the circumstances of him being injured and having Poch, I think he did play quite well considering that circumstance. But now you're fully fit. You have no excuses. You have a manager that we've brought in mainly because of you. The system is meant to be perfect for you. That's the biggest problem I now have. Maresca is not here because of Palmer. Maresca is not here because of getting the best out of, say, Jackson or Caicedo or whatever. It's because of you. The system is for you to succeed in. And you're not succeeding. That's the problem I have. But people will blame others and say Caicedo should be dropped or Lavia should be dropped. The problem, unfortunately, part of the problem is Enzo, and he needs to get his act together. And maybe he will. Maybe he'll eventually kick in or whatever. I don't know. I would like to hope so. But this strengths that this table shows, the ball progression machine, great passing range, a confident shooter, good tackling prowess. I'm not seeing any of this. Equally comfortable in a 6 or an 8. I'm not seeing this. This is not the Enzo that we've bought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and listen, I think for me, the way I go about this problem, quote unquote, because at the same time, I don't think Enzo's cost us games. But the way I would approach this is, I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on Lavia. And a lot of it next season is also going to be dependent on, we need to have another number 6 to rotate with Enzo. Because Casadei, even though he's doing a job, he can't do that in the Premier League. There's no way. I don't trust him to do it in the Premier League. KDH, that's not his natural position either, and I don't trust him to do that in the Premier League. Against,
I think KDH is the backup, by the way.
Is the backup what?
KDH is just in terms of the shape from our first team and our second team. KDH is the backup to Enzo. Just in terms, because you can see it just in terms of the shape. That's why I want KDH to come in for Enzo. Not because I don't think he'll give us the passing range Enzo's supposed to have, but I think he'll keep the game simple enough that it will.
But I just don't think the tackling, the defensive side of the game is going to be any better. I feel I think it will. KDH. I don't see anything in KDH that gives me trust that he's going to do well defensively. Go ahead.
And I'll say this as well. This is another reason why I'm excited for the games that we have coming up. After this international break is over, because at the end of the day, listen, if Enzo performs in the big games against the big teams, I'll shut up about him. It's that simple. Enzo has the perfect opportunity to prove all of us wrong and shut us up. It's that simple. We're going to have major games against big teams. That's when his level of passing is the type of stuff that can win us games, right? And it's the same reason where people were with what you just said, Prime, you're looking out for Caicedo in the big games. Because, people were oh, Caicedo played bad against Forest. Shock and horror, the holding midfielder sitting in front of the defense didn't look spectacular against the low block. Of course, he was just pretty much there to kind of recycle the ball around. Whereas in those type of low block situations, you expect Enzo to perform. In the big games where there's going to be more space, especially with the way that Liverpool play, I need him to be pinging those balls over the top to Nani, to Sancho, to Jackson, to Palmer. He needs to be doing that. If he does that, there you go.
But here's the thing, where I was getting at, right? I feel like now with Lavia, we need to use Enzo in the games that suit Enzo, because I feel like, for example, Liverpool coming up. If Lavia was fit, I would play Lavia Caicedo. I would 100% play Lavia Caicedo, because I feel like Lavia and Caicedo would smother their attack. It would smother their attack, and Lavia and Caicedo are creative enough that they can find a Cole or a Nicholas Jackson, a Sancho, or Nani Madueke, and then let them do the creative aspect of it. I don't think this... I feel like people have this idea in their head that this Liverpool side is the same Jurgen Klopp Liverpool side, is going to play a high line and, just be all attack, full out attack. We can catch them in and running behind. This isn't the same Liverpool side. I think Arne Slot is a lot more tactical. He's going to be a lot more aware of it, and he's going to play in a way that's going to try to smother us. Like, one weakness of ours that I saw in the beginning of the season is that when we're pressed, we struggle. When we get pressed intensely, we do struggle to get out of our maintain possession, to get out of our box, and we take too much pressure. And our defense, even though we're not horrible, we can't take on that much pressure. I guarantee you, Arne Slot decides to put out a lineup that will press us a lot. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I see a Darwin Nunez in that lineup, Mo Salah in there, Jota might even get benched. We're going to see a lineup that presses us a lot more, where in that type of a lineup, against that type of a lineup, I think I would trust a Lavia and a Caicedo to be more press resistant than an Enzo. Now, maybe later on in the game, you can bring in Enzo with fresh legs, but now, in comparison, a Tottenham, I would play an Enzo against a Tottenham, because Ange Postecoglou is going to play a high line. He's going to play offensive football, and Enzo can take advantage of that. Enzo will have the space in the midfield to take advantage of that and give long passes. So, and pointing this out too, because I know some people in chat are saying like, oh, but Enzo's not the problem, all the yada yada, and some people are going to say the opposite. I'm just pointing out that if you're looking at this chart right now and seeing Enzo this season, whether you think he's been good or not, I think all of us can mutually agree that this is not the Enzo. The Enzo on the chart that we're seeing is not the Enzo we're seeing on the pitch this season. Like, it's safe to say, like, this is, I think he's digressed in a sense. And I don't want to say that too soon, because we have a whole season ahead of us. But I mean, I think that's my solution for Enzo. I don't think Enzo is useless. I don't think Enzo doesn't belong at Chelsea. I don't think he's up to snuff. I just think that right now, in the way that we're playing, in the system that we're playing, I think for Enzo to work, we need to pick and choose the games that Enzo's can really flourish and benefit in, and we need to rotate between a Lavia or a Caicedo or an Enzo to see who best suits this matchup. What's up, Curry?
I agree with that. We have midfielders that offer different strengths and weaknesses. So yes, depending on the game, I think Maresca is smart enough to know like which ones out of the three to be able to use. But I don't know. I'm just waiting for the Enzo that people all assume for him to be, to actually start performing consistently. Because I thought after the second half against Brighton that he was starting to actually kick on. And then he puts on that performance against Forest. So, and then RSM talks about how well he plays for Argentina. So I'm wondering, why are we not seeing the same player now at Chelsea?
That's literally my point.
Go ahead.
But, yeah, CP rates Enzo, so go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I want to talk about those.
Sure.
So I defended him the first game against Man City, but I'm done. I'm done with this nonsense I've been seeing with Kai. I've seen AKZ in the chat too. It's not just he's a scapegoat. He needs to perform to a certain level, and it's been fluctuating for us this season too. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Prime knows in front of Carefree Lewis's chat during that, when one of the guys was like, dude, he's racist, I want him out of the team. I'm like, I don't care if he's racist in terms of morally, fuck him. But other than that, I've had a racist guy be my captain and we won Premier Leagues. I'm talking about the sport wise.
That's crazy.
Doing your job, I don't give a shit.
That's crazy.
right? I'm saying he's not my role model. I'm not. So footballers aren't my role models that I'm looking up to at my age,
Yeah.
my 20s. I don't give a fuck. Just make my team win. Do your job. He's not doing that. He's way too inconsistent. We saw Wolves second half, and we're like, you know what? This might be the turning point. Then the next game he was bang average. Then we said Brighton. Link
You know
up
what would
play,
be interesting? Actually,
Sancho is the turning point. Bang average after that.
I was Marshall. Can you go to you know, like what is it? Data MV. You can compare players. Can we compare this season just to Enzo and Benfica, please? Like, I want to see what the difference is, because again, remember what was it? AKZ was saying, for example, Caicedo's inconsistent. You don't get 70% tackles in one game, by the way.
What?
Or into the season. That shows that across multiple games, he's won 70% of all the tackles that he's tried in multiple games. That shows a level of consistency.
What
What
website did you say?
Enzo's stats looks like. I think it's Data MB, right? That's where you can like compare players.
What
Yeah,
do people
let me see.
think Caicedo is inconsistent in, by the way? Like, because Caicedo is not meant to be our ball player. He's not meant to be the guy that controls our midfield. He's meant to be the ball winner.
Yeah,
So I don't like people praised Kante, but Kante was nowhere near as good on the ball as Caicedo. So I don't get what people will criticize Caicedo, but I think what Enzo's doing is fine.
Yeah.
And
Fine.
sorry, like I've been hearing this thing about, hey, we're gonna trust a guy in a major game after 14 months. You know who we also trusted? A guy who was injured for 14 months, and we trusted him. Fucking Wesley Fofana against Man City game week 1. You know who we also kind of trust whenever he's quote unquote fit? Fucking Reece James, and he hasn't been healthy for us for the past. This is gonna be the 3rd fucking season. I don't give a shit. If he's good enough, he plays. Neto was injury prone before he arrived with us. We were treating him with care with Maresca. We're seeing that he's knock on wood, hasn't gotten injured yet.
I can't seem to find Enzo Fernandez in Benfica. It gives me 24, 25, 23, 24 Chelsea, not Benfica.
What was that? What was the website that was being used in the first tweet that you pulled up? Where was comparing Jorginho and...
Jesus Christ. I mean, there's a big difference between Enzo now and Enzo last year if you want me to pull that up right now too.
Just go to Maclad app and just compare that. Just do that.
Well, let me just pull this up real quick, so you guys can look at that while I'm actually looking that up. This is Enzo. The yellow is Enzo last season, and the red is Enzo this season. So defensively, he's doing more defensively, and is being asked to do more defensively this season.
And it's worse because his goal percentage is lower.
Yeah. So that's not good. Key passes, he's done more. Key passes, he's doing more this season, and that's about it. I mean, maybe it's too soon to be comparing the stats because the averages obviously are going to be more are going to be more influenced than over the course of multiple games.
Sorry, I just want to speak on this more if you don't mind.
Go ahead. What was the website you want me to use though, Curry? I'm sorry.
No, you're using that app. I think it's Maclads, right? You're using or something.
So I'll look it up.
I can send you the link. I think it's the same thing you're using right now. I'll put it on the chat.
Yeah, but I mean, for example, right now you could put Caicedo, and you can see how much better of a season he's already having immediately. If you compare Caicedo to last season to this season, you can immediately it just stands out to you that he's having a way better season off for it than he did all of last season.
Christ. Yeah.
Like, look at that, bro. And this is what I mean this is why this conversation shouldn't even be like, oh, they both been mid. Like, let's just stop. We need to stop grouping them together. Like, their performances have been completely separate. They're being asked to do different things. Caicedo is performing in his role. It's said by the stats, said by the eye test. Like, the stats back up what our eye test is saying. The thing with Enzo is, like, the stats aren't backing him up, and the eye test isn't. He's not controlling games like what Prime is saying that we need him to do, to just make it simple in the midfield. To make it easy, because at the end of the day, the difficult stuff, we're asking Palmer to do that. He's the 10 in the middle. He's the one that has to be doing the difficult stuff. So everybody else has to make it easy around him.
Oh, speaking of Palmer, have you guys been noticing in games, right, that Palmer's, like Nottingham Forest, for example, in the first half, you guys notice how deep Palmer kept dropping to pick up the ball?
Yes. He did that.
Why was he dropping that deep when you have Enzo in the team? Why does Palmer need to drop that deep to collect the ball and progress it forward when we have Enzo who's meant to do that? That doesn't make sense. That's not a system issue, by the way, either. Not a system.
No, it's not. I just think
no, it makes sense. He's dropping in deep from his side to pick it up so he can pass it to Madueke. Enzo's supposed to be responsible for his left side.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, that's why in this season, even from what Marshall showed, Enzo's on the left side.
No. Palmer's dropping like deeper, not to pass it to Madueke, to progress the ball in general.
He's not meant to be that deep. He's trying to pass it back to Madueke.
He's not meant to be that deep. He's not meant to collect the ball off the center back.
No, I think they're both attacking eights. That's the whole point. They're supposed to be in charge of their sectors in a sense, and Palmer's in charge of the right side. Enzo's supposed to be attacking in Maresca's system. That's what Palmer is too, technically. In Maresca's system.
I know, but I'm not seeing Enzo drop and collect the ball off the center backs like what Palmer's been doing. Palmer's not supposed to be that deep to do that all the time. Enzo is.
But this is the thing. Hold up. This is the thing. AKZ, stop saying that the bar was so low this season. It's being said that he's the best, the best or the second best DM in the league. Like, we're not talking about the bar was low. We're talking about right now he's performing at a top midfielder level in the entire Premier League.
Yep.
Not even just said by Chelsea fans. It's even said by rivals. It's even said by pundits, and the stats back it up. He's
Liverpool
performing at the top level.
Best center mid in the league, and versus Gravenberch. Liverpool fans are
saying that. Nothing to do with last season.
Mm-hmm. So what you're looking at in front of you right now is Enzo Fernandez this season versus his last season with Benfica.
Damn.
It's a staunch difference.
Thank you. This is exactly my point. This is what I'm saying. You see, Marshall, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is the difference that we're seeing on the eye. Now, these are the stats backing it up.
Yeah, it's
one more thing about Enzo, because we have Kai defending kind of like Ugarte, who was bang average when he was whining about Ugarte. So here's the thing. Enzo Fernandez, we're talking about consistency and stuff. You know who was also getting roasted this season for not performing well, and he was great last season? Fucking Gusto. People are saying Gusto's not performing well, and he's shown us more because he's been consistent for a season compared to Enzo Fernandez. And one was bought for 25 million, and he's 20 years old. This other guy is a World Cup winner at 23. We bought for 120 million. And
also,
Gusto criticizing Gusto. Still criticizing Gusto.
Gusto's being told to play as an. Gusto's being told to play as an inverted midfielder when he's or inverted fullback when he's not one, whereas Enzo is playing in a role that's supposed to suit him and he's not executing it. There's a major difference in that. Gusto's allowed to be a bit forward. Enzo's not allowed to be.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Hold on, because I also, like, as much as I want to criticize Enzo, I also need to correct the notion that he's useless or he doesn't do anything for the team. Agreed. I think the biggest gripe that most people have is that they don't seem to see the player that they bought. They don't think he's worth the price tag. And this is where, like, when it comes to these arguments about players, I'd like to leave out the price point. I just want to see and talk about what I see in front of me, not the price point over their head. Because in that same argument, you can say that right now, Caicedo still isn't playing as a 105 million or 110 million pound player. Like, I don't care what you say. He's not playing to that level. He's still good. He's still amazing. And he's still arguably the best Premier League midfielder. But is that the price point of a best? I don't think so. If you're going to charge me that much, I'm expecting like Frank Lampard levels. You know what I mean? Like goals, assists, like really just Cole Palmer of the midfield. No. But I'm just saying, like, that's why I'm leaving out the price when I'm talking about Enzo. Listen, I don't think he's been.
No.
Players don't decide that.
I expect Lampard from Fernandez because he likes playing in the attacking position based on what he said. And what he's
No. I don't. That's a you thing then, Curry, because I don't. Because Renzo Fernandez,
no. It is for the price tag, like you were saying. I expect Caicedo for 100-something million to score goals and stuff. No, I don't, because he's a CDM destroyer. He is a destroyer for this team. He was a destroyer for Brighton. So I expect him to do more of a Rodri, Conte, Rice job, and he's been better than Rice this season. And Rodri has been injury prone. Sure. The only midfielder who's been better than him, it's been Gravenberch this season so far in this midfield in the Premier League. So he is living up to his price tag because he's better.
No, absolutely not. I disagree completely. He's living up to his price tag.
I don't care about price.
I said no. I already said no DM is ever going to live up to like.
That's what I mean.
And 20. So for me, like, it's just a new conversation.
That's the same price that you would pay for a striker. Like,
I don't care about.
It just doesn't live up to it. Yeah.
I don't care about price. For me, and I'm not even saying like Enzo's completely been shit this season. Like I said, he's had some good halves in games, and I can see his talent, so I understand why people rate him. It's not like I'm saying like he's a bad player or I don't see it. I get why people rate him. I see the talent, and his talent, his strengths on the ball is. Though I rate that in players, I rate that in Jorginho and in Pirlo, but he's not performing to what his talent and his ability suggests. He's not controlling our games.
I understand that, but I think there's validity in the other side of the argument, because we saw against, and this is just one small sample size, we saw against Bournemouth how we struggled to win that game. And that game was much more open than the Nottingham Forest game, where we actually managed to, score and stay in the game. We had multiple chances and opportunities. Against Bournemouth, we struggled. We were against the wall multiple times. It took Jadon Sancho and Nkunku deflected strike to get a goal in that game and win the match. That was without Enzo Fernandez. The next game, West Ham with Enzo Fernandez, we see that it helps out our attackers in terms of a transition into the attack. So when it comes to the offensive side of the game, Enzo Fernandez does make an impact in the team. I'm not going to deny that. Whether he lives up to that expectation, whether he performs well in the midfield side of the game, which is the defensive side as well as the offensive side, that's the big question. Because I can name multiple times this season where Enzo Fernandez has been robbed of an assist, has been robbed of a key pass. Like, it happens. It happens multiple times, and people don't like to talk about that. Now, that's not me saying, though,
the Brighton game, you should have had 2 assists minimum. Let's be honest.
That's not me saying that Enzo Fernandez is doing better this season than he has last season. In fact, I feel like since the first season we got him, he's slowly but surely been digressing. Now, is that on him? Is that on the Premier League? Is that on the manager and the system? I don't know. And that's why we're kind of having this discussion. But I'm looking at the numbers right now, and it's not impressive. It's not enough. And, I don't want to sound conceited, but at the same time, I am pointing out the positives of Enzo's and the negatives. I understand people don't like him because of the whole racial controversy thing. And listen, a long time ago when this all happened, and Prime, you were here when I said it, I have to separate the player that I see on the pitch versus the person. And the person I do not like, but the player I still rate. He's still one of my favorite players in Chelsea, despite, the person being a piece of shit. But as a player, he's good. And I'm just not seeing it this season. It's been a little disappointing. It's been lackluster. But I mean, Curry, I think you were making a point and I interrupted you. So go ahead and finish your point that you were saying.
I'm saying he's not. I'm sorry. He's not a scapegoat. He is. He no creativity. Fuck it. I'd rather have Nkunku there. If I'm playing 2 attacking 8s that are 10s, I would put Nkunku there. He's gonna offer me the same fucking defensive work rate. If he's also attempting fucking 4 tackles a game and succeeding 40% of the time, I can get Nkunku to do that job. And I get better ball striking. I get better link-up play. If I'm gonna do that, because Enzo's providing me very little offensively and very little defensively. So fuck it. I'll just have Nkunku there. Why don't I? He'll be a shadow striker. Same with Palmer. Fuck it, let's go.
I think it's a little disingenuous when you say he's not giving you enough attacking wise.
He's not.
Because I'm looking the key passes and through balls are similar to the Benfica. That's not really the issue.
I don't think it's the attacking element of the game. My thing is, a player
this
like
is very
Enzo,
true, by the way.
Enzo, but of course he's not, because he's not a defensive midfielder. I'm not expecting him to be a Rodri, but I'm expecting him to control the tempo of the game. He's meant to be. I'm expecting him to do what Mudryk does: control the game. Control the game for us. That way, we don't have to end up having high-scoring games. We don't end up struggling because we're able to control the game. You guys killed Jorginho for controlling games.
And by the way, the stat that Prime is pointing out in this conversation is that passing percentage. To go down from 86.8% to 80.2 in this season, that's a big jump for a midfielder who's supposed to be, like Prime is saying, controlling the pace of the game, making the simple passes. To go from 86.6 to 80.2, that's not good. That means, if you look at that, means to keep passing the through balls, he's still pinging it long. He's still being accurate long. Yeah. But when it comes to the short and medium distances, there's a drop off there.
Even look at his average progressive passes has gone down 4. So he's making on average 4 less progressive passes per game.
And the only reason why
4 less progressive passes per game, and the passing percentage still went down. So it's like that means he's messing up the simple stuff. He's not being more risky, and it's not coming off, right? It's like he's risking crazy passes, trying to make something out of nothing. He's just messing up the simple and the medium and short passes.
Thank you, because his risky passes, his long balls, they're still working. I don't have a problem with that. They still come off. But when you can't even keep the game simple for us, that means you're putting us in danger. And you're playing in, whether when on the ball, you're playing as an attacking eight, but like you're still putting us in danger because when you lose the ball, you're putting more pressure on Caicedo, you're putting more pressure on Colwell and Fofana, and then you're putting more pressure on Sanchez. And then when we end up conceding, we end up blaming Sanchez or blaming Colwell or blaming Fofana, when in reality, you're the one that messed up the ball. You lost the ball. It's on you.
That's what we were killing Caicedo for last season, because there'd be games where he would mess up the pass, lose possession, and immediately they would either score or get a really good opportunity on goal.
And if you want to speak on the last game in specific,
sure.
He cost us 2 counterattacks. What I mean is he fucking hit the first man 6 times. We had fucking 6 corners for him. He hit the first man and 2 of them were counters.
That was a Hall of Shame performance on the corners. I'm not gonna lie.
Because the second he hits the first man, they got pace. They got pace because we have man up. And they got pace when they were
Sofa scores.
Caicedo had a yellow card already. And Caicedo had a yellow card already, so he couldn't risk it.
You know what the crazy part was too? Like I remember I saw a stat that came out after the game, like right before the international break started. It was like we have the lowest expected XG for set pieces, and I was looking at the corners. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like it doesn't even get past the first man. Like how are we gonna generate any XG when the ball can't even get into the box correctly?
Bro, I'll be so honest, and this might be me thinking way ahead of time. If we don't fix up on set pieces, we're not beating Arsenal or even drawing Arsenal. Because one set piece there will dunk on us. That's how they've been
in terms of scoring or defending. Because I think defending hasn't been awful, but scoring, yeah, bro. Like the only set piece goal I remember is Nico Jackson at the back post. Forgot what game that was at Wolves.
Yep.
That's the only set piece I can remember. I'll be real with you.
Trying to see statistically what Enzo's performance looked like against Nottingham Forest, because I know with my eyes he looked like shit, but looking here, hold up, let me zoom into this because you guys probably can't see shit. Enzo Fernandez, 81 minutes plays, expected goals 0.06 is horrible, but it is what it is. I'm not, again, goals isn't this thing. Expected assists 0.24, not even, 60% attention, accurate passing 86, key passes 2. Crosses,
0 accurate. There you go.
0 accurate crosses.
4 corners, not one went through.
Yeah, it was horrible. Ground duels, he won 50% of his ground duels, 1 of his aerial duels. Lost possession 10 times. That's horrible for someone who's supposed to be the tempo setter and maintain the possession.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not looking good. That was not a good game for him. It's probably.
What was the heat map again?
Heat map is on the left side for the most part.
Yeah, there you go.
That was probably his worst game at Chelsea, in my opinion, this season.
This season? Yeah,
I think
probably.
So.
Yeah, with the bad touches and the corners, yeah.
Because even when he played as a 10 against City, it was frustrating because of the touches, but he was getting in the right positions.
Yeah.
Like if you take the positioning that he had and applied it to an Nkunku instead of, where he was in the left wing that game, but applied to Nkunku, I guarantee you Nkunku takes a scoring opportunity. Like he makes it into a big chance.
Also, is it just me or do I feel like our B team has better set pieces than our A team? Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like when I watch the cup games, I feel like they just look more dangerous when the set piece happens.
That's because there's more height in our B team.
Yeah. Badiashile, Disasi, you got Tosin in there, Vega.
Yeah.
Even João Felix is pretty tall too.
He's
good at set pieces. Yeah, he's good at sending the ball. I don't know, but we need to figure out who needs to send these corners in to be accurate. Again, a lot of people make fun of Saka because a lot of his assists are from corners. But if that brother is accurate in getting it into the box, how can we hate? Let's be honest.
Yeah, but Saka not only does he have a good delivery, he also is hitting the ball in the box for giants. They have Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Ben White, Declan Rice. They have giants, Havertz. Like, it's quite easy to hit a ball into an area. And this is not just crediting Saka, by the way, but it's easy to hit a ball into an area when you have 5-6 players that are like 6'2" plus. We don't have that luxury at Chelsea.
6.7.
This is against Brighton. I don't trust SofaScore scoring. SofaScore scoring is really whack.
It's dumb.
Yeah, but if you look at his crosses again, he attempted 3, only 1 was accurate. Fuck me, bro.
But again,
his long balls are good. It's just the
I'm not depending on Enzo Fernandez for crosses, because crosses is usually what I want my wingers to do, right? Like, obviously, off the corner, you should be making a good corner.
But that counts as the cross, technically. Like, the corners count as crosses.
Yeah, exactly. No, I get that. You know, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, these are from corners. Obviously, I want them to have better corners.
How much does he dispossess or something? Like, why is this? I'm trying to understand, like, why this rating is so low. There you go. 12 times! God damn, bro.
This is probably off the first half.
You know what's crazy? 12 times is what you expect from a player like Nani, for example, because he's trying to take on his team. 12 is crazy for, like, a midfielder that is supposed to be, like, Prime saying, like, recycling possession, you know, moving the ball, doing all this stuff. Like, I don't know, crazy stuff.
This is probably why Enzo Maresca is saying he wants a 6. Because he's probably seeing these numbers that we're seeing how hectic our first halves are. You know, Wolves, we saw Brighton. Like, Maresca said, and this is, I respect this about Maresca. He said, you might like the first half better than I did, but I like the second half more because the performance in the second half was better, but the result of the first half was great. Because the result of the Brighton game was 4-2. That's where all that happened. And, you know, in the second half, it was just calmer.
Game. He was happy. Yeah. He said, I'm happier about the second half. We just completely controlled the game.
If anyone watched, or even if you've watched, whether it's games or you watch scout reports on Leicester last season, the guy who played in there as their defensive midfielder was Harry Winks, a ball player. Because Winks, like, has at least an ounce of defensive responsibilities. That's the right word. He knows, like, how to, like, read the game defensively.
Yeah.
As well as being comfortable on the ball. And then who inverted next to him would be either Pereira or Chowdhury. That's why I assumed with Maresca that Enzo would sit deeper and, like, say Cucurella would invert with him. I think Maresca should try that at least. So I think that would work more, and then play Caicedo a bit further forward with Palmer. That's what I want to see, because I think that would work a lot better in terms of controlling a game than having Caicedo sit deeper. Because as much as I'm talking about Enzo being a problem, I think what's also not helping us control games is the fact of our defensive midfielder, Caicedo, doesn't do that. And that's not Caicedo's job, so he shouldn't be expected to. But I think when Lavia's in the team, Lavia can actually put his foot on the ball and slow the game down. But Lavia doesn't always stay fit, so we need another option, which I think Caicedo, or I think Enzo should be that option. So I need to try it. So I think it's up to Maresca if he ends up doing that or not. I don't know.
I'll be honest, Marshall, I did the maths. We sell him to Madrid next year for 60 million if he doesn't perform. No, I'm serious. No, I'm serious. We have a guy who does his, you know what Maresca is saying? A 6/10. Andre Santos is doing that right now. Now in the French league. He's fucking bossy. He has presence. He can strike the ball and come in late. He's playing CDM. He's dictating play. He's doing everything.
But I agree. I agree that I like Santos. Like, Santos is looking like he's going to be a proven player. What I'm worried about, because one of the common denominators here for Enzo Fernandez is the Premier League. And
that's what I'm saying. They need a close replacement. There you go.
I'm starting to worry that maybe it's the league that is bottlenecking Enzo Fernandez from being as good as he could be. Because in Benfica, you saw the numbers; they were great. At Argentina, you see how he plays; it's great. But at Chelsea, in the Premier League, is where it struggles. The reason I bring that up, though, is because I know you want to pull the trigger. I would like to see next season, depending on how this season goes, obviously, next season, an Andre Santos and an Enzo Fernandez in the same squad. And if a Santos can prove to me that, okay, you can do it in this league too, then yeah, I would entertain the idea of selling off an Enzo Fernandez.
Real Madrid have to give me close to 100 million for me to sell him.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
I want my money. I want my money.
Okay, yes. So Prime, can I tell you? I did it. 1 second. He was bought for 105. It's going to be 2.5 years. So basically, we paid 3 years worth of his contract by the end of next summer. That's 45 million pounds gone. So we need 60 million to be on level.
Fine, then give me at 80, 85.
No, give me 65. He's out.
No, because I think Real Madrid or PSG.
You guys are negotiating with yourselves. It's like, this is great.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Listen, who do you think Boli and Egbali are? Come on, man. But anyway, yeah. I listen. I mean, it's international break chatter, but I've heard Chelsea fans say, get rid of Enzo and bring in Pogba in the summer. Now,
I heard that too recently. I do not agree.
I don't agree with that because Pogba hasn't played and he's not like match fit or anything. However, Pogba's profile is what I want from Enzo, kind of being able to control a game. I want someone to control our game, and Enzo's not doing that. If Enzo goes to Real Madrid or he goes to City and he kills it,
I can hear you smiling. I can hear you.
Marshall,
you're smiling.
You don't believe yourself.
I don't believe myself in the wall.
Marshall, I'll be
Pogba. Go ahead, CP, sorry.
Juventus. Pogba's contract has been terminated by Juventus. He's on free. We're just paying his wages. If he's willing to take 120k a week, I'm willing to fucking try that out for 2 years. Give him a 2-year contract, slap that on, and from January, he's only 31. He hasn't played. That's fine. We ease him into. We start him off with Conference League games. We ease him in.
Bro, the board is not doing that, bro. To be honest,
Pogba won't be back until next summer.
He can't.
No, for us to buy him because I think Marseille want to buy him in January. So if we were to get him, it won't come until the summer.
No, his contract is terminated by Juventus. He's literally talking to Marseille to join in January.
I know, but that's my point. Marseille will buy him in January, which would mean then we would buy him in the summer. I don't think it would make sense for us to buy him now or in January.
You would want us to try for January. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Because he's literally what we need. I'm saying no. You continue playing Enzo in the league. You play him Conference League games. If Pogba continues to perform in 2 to 3 Conference League games, you try him in the Prem. And if you do, there you go.
See,
and he's on.
Listen, depending on the scenario, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Obviously, I do think Paul Pogba is a great player, but even when I think one issue for me is the injuries. He's an injury-prone player. 2, I wasn't really convinced after United that he had returned to his best either. So, I mean, I know Paul Pogba is a player that is capable of being an amazing, midfielder. He's one of the best in the world in the history of the game, sure. But is he that same Paul Pogba now at his current age after taking the long hiatus he's taken?
He's better than Enzo.
Exactly, because the level's so low with Enzo. He may be better than Enzo. He gives you physicality. He's 6'3". He's technically gifted. He gives you box presence. He gives you physical presence. If he's
I'll take João Neves at PSG. I'll take Vitinha. Bro, I don't, and the thing is, I don't hate Enzo. I love his profile, but his profile is not profiling.
Thank you. That's what it is.
His profile is not profiling.
Like I said to that guy in Lewis's stream, I don't care if he's racist or not in terms of personal. I'm not looking up to him. Perform for my team, and he hasn't been doing that. His profile hasn't been profiling.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's early into the season. I do want to see where he improves and how it goes for the rest of the season. But right now, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Marshall, if he wants to make a statement, if he gives me that Liverpool performance for this Liverpool game that he gave me when we drew, no.
Bro, you don't even have to go that far back, dude.
No, I know, but
you can go at Aston Villa, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
If you give me that against Liverpool, then we're talking. Then I see their scope. I see something, and you because you're bringing us something, man. You're controlling it. You're not losing the ball. You're keeping the ball. Taking that performance. What I want consistently. That Liverpool performance is the North Star I've been looking for, and still haven't seen this season.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, and I feel somewhat the same way. I'm looking at the Aston Villa performance, right? I'm looking at, there's other performances there that, off the top of my head, I can't think of, but I know there's other performances there where I was impressed with what Enzo did. But I think this season, we got to work with what we have. I think having a Lavia this season is going to change a lot of factors, and I hope it changes them for the positive. But another player that I wanted to bring up, which, funny enough, our friend here Kai brought up, and I do want to bring this up as well, is Nani. I feel like there's a lot of hate towards Nani Madueke, and I think I think to a certain extent it is very reasonable, and I think to a certain extent it's misunderstood as well. So while you guys were discussing, I pulled up the FBref on Nani Madueke, and I do want to take some time to read this with you guys, because I think one thing that's been really misunderstood about Nani and why he's been continuing to get starts over a Neto over and over again is because although Nani has been seen as selfish and all these negative connotations towards him, I think one side of the game that people have not looked at with Nani Madueke, where he's improved in tremendously, is the defensive side of it. We're looking at, this top one is this current season, and this bottom one is his last season. Last season, he got 16 tackles. This season, he's already at 8. He's halfway through, and we're not even halfway through the season. 10 tackles won last season. He's already won 6 tackles this season. So defensively, the tackle percentage, he's improved defensively. And that's the side of the game that I don't think people are discussing enough about Nani, that it's not the side of the game that people look at the most. Obviously, people look at the offense, people look at the goals, people look at the attack. You don't pay much attention to the defensive side of things. And I think where people criticize Nani isn't in the right things. I think.
But when Willian did this, people didn't like it. Sorry, Marshall, carry on.
I'm just saying, when it comes to the game and when it comes to Enzo Maresca in particular, Enzo Maresca is looking for players that can give you both sides of the game. And Pedro Neto, obviously he's got good pace. He can dribble. He has that ability. We know what Pedro Neto is capable of doing. The defensive side of things, I haven't seen it. This is probably why Nkunku doesn't play over a Jackson. This is the side of the game that I feel like people aren't praising Nani for enough. And obviously, yeah, he's a winger. I don't want my wingers to be defensive. Why would I praise my wingers for tackles made? That's what my midfielder is supposed to do. That's what my, left back, right back, the center back is supposed to do. Sure. But it's a side of the game that, when you defend as a team. You don't defend with just your center backs. So, I mean, what do you guys think of this Nani hate this season? Is it merited? Is it...
Sorry, if you don't mind. Because, sorry, but I'm going to go after Kai. Because this man is supporting Enzo Fernandez, while at least Nani Madueke.
Okay. Let's talk about Nani. Let's not talk about Kai.
No, I know. Because he's saying...
Kai can be the example, because he's part of the hive of Chelsea fans that don't rate Nani.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? He's saying he's been shit. He's the one who got us who got the goal for last game. He's the one who got the only goal for last game. He's the only one who might be selfish enough, quote unquote, to take the fucking shot, because Sancho beats his man, fucking comes back around and beats his man again. And sometimes we just need someone to pull the trigger. And Sancho wasn't providing that, so I'm glad we have a duality. One guy wants to play the ball, retain it, that's fine. The other guy will drop in, help defensively, but also attack the space and go for the shot. We need to take risks. That's what we need. We need risk takers. We need someone to hit the ball, because the ball doesn't go mad. You don't use your mind to mind control that shit into the net. Someone's got to hit the fucking thing.
I'm
I'll pull out Neto's stats if you want me to next, just to see the comparisons.
I'm critical of Nani, but I don't fall into the Nani like hate hive. The whole thing about him being selfish, like people use selfish in a bad connotation, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Like people wanted to try and call Colwell selfish to defend Nani, and I think that's also wrong to say. But the thing with Nani is his decision making in the final third oftentimes needs to get better. If he wants to be like goal for goal more of the time, that's fine. Because I know he favors cutting in on his left foot a lot more than, say, running it down the byline. If you want to keep doing that, fine. But he needs to get a lot better at executing that properly because he's so predictable. I know he's going to cut in. So it's quite easy to defend against that. So if you're going to do that, then you have to make yourself like unbeatable in that aspect. Kind of like how Leroy Sané was at City for a period, or how Robin was. You have to be unbeatable. If we know you're going to cut in, then make sure that action is unbeatable, or get stronger on your right foot and be able to go down the byline. So like you're multifaceted. And fine, Nani is still young, like we were saying yesterday, Marshall, about the Jackson stuff. Nani is still young and he is still growing and improving. I think the defensive side of his game is impressive, but again, why should we care about that? Because I remember when it was Willian doing the defensive work and having to make up for the fact that Hazard didn't do any defensive work. People didn't care about Willian. People wanted Willian to produce more in terms of his goals and assists output. But Nani, him being younger, I think that will improve in time. I think since Wolves, he has been a bit underwhelming. I'm not going to say poor. I think he has been a bit underwhelming, but his help in the defensive side of the game does help us, particularly with the fact of how end-to-end our games are and how we don't control them a lot. Him having to track back and do more of the defensive side of the game does help us. But if we control the game a lot more, he wouldn't have to track back as much. So there's that aspect of things. Do I want him before the Forest game, or actually before he scored in the Forest game? I kind of wanted him to be dropped for Neto to be in the team, but also up until now, I don't know if Neto was ready enough to play Premier League games, like starting Premier League games consistently. So
for Chelsea, at least,
yeah. So that's why he's been playing Conference League minutes, build up that match fitness and match sharpness. And I think that's also with Nkunku as well, why he's been playing Conference League, to build up the match sharpness and match fit. But now, after this international break, I know he played for Portugal. We'll now start to see, because Nani didn't start the 2 games against England, so I'm going to assume he will start against Liverpool and Neto will be off the bench. Yep. But we'll see. One thing I can say about Madueke is, though, when he has a chip on his shoulder is when he performs at his best. When you look at his game against Servette, was it the first or second leg? And then his game against his hat-trick against Wolves, when he has that little chip on him, like he has to prove himself, that's when he really starts to like turn it on. So if that can be like a consistent trait about him, if we can drop him for a few games to bring him back into the team and him to produce again, I think we might have to do that for a little bit, which is fine because we have enough attacking depth to be able to do that. So it is what it is. I think I agree. The criticism is people go too far with the Nani stuff, but I don't think people should then or just throw away the fact of the criticism towards Nani is actually valid. Just because Guy goes too far doesn't mean what I say about Nani isn't valid.
Yeah. And
also saying that he's a defensive midfielder when he has the most successful take-ons in the final third is fucking insane. And he's quote-unquote deemed selfish in the final third, not like defensively, because he's been doing great defensively. So what is AKZ waffling about?
See, the thing is, like, the reason I even bring it up, and I think the reason it's being brought up in this situation, because, listen, you guys know, I wasn't really paying too much attention to Chelsea prior to Lampard being as a manager. pandemic life was a different thing. Now I'm fully invested again. But again, there's a reason why it's called Casually FC. So when it comes to the defensive stat, and Prime brought this up, why do I care about my winger's defensive ability when no one gave a crap about it against Julian? I can't speak for Sarri, I can't speak for previous managers, but when it comes to Neto, the reason I bring it up is because I think Enzo Maresca has made it very clear that he doesn't play or doesn't start a Nkunku with a Jackson, because then who defends? He doesn't rate Nkunku's ability to press and the work rate off the ball to defend well versus like a Jackson who, to be fair, Jackson does get in some juicy positions from his ability to tackle and press. We saw it last season. He's doing it again this season as well. Cole Palmer is another.
The Brighton opportunity, the first goal was because he pressed the dude and the dude messed up. But if Jackson wasn't pressing, he would have gotten there on the ball. You look at the Forest game as well. Why did the red card happen? Because Jackson was there to press. So when he messed up, he was there to pounce on it.
Exactly. Not to say that Nkunku can't do it. We saw against Borough how he pressed the goalkeeper, but that was a really, really low opposition that you could say maybe it's just the experience gap and the skill gap. If we see that against a tougher opposition, whether it be in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle or we see it in the Premier League, then we're having a different discussion. With Nani Madueke, I think to see what he does off the ball versus what he used to do, it's because here's the thing. And it sounds like I'm waffling. I'm sorry, guys. I can't get my thoughts together here today.
You are waffling, but it's fine. You're a Casually fan. It's fine.
Here's the thing. One thing that always frustrated me about João Felix was what he does off the ball and how lazy and lethargic he looked and how uninterested he would look. Sometimes he just lets the game go and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not seeing it so much with this João Felix this season, maybe because Enzo Maresca is drilling him about you need to be defensive as well as you are offensive. I used to say the same thing about Nani when he first came into this team, when he played with Lampard and all this. I saw the skill. I saw how good he is at dribbling and going forward and taking wingers on and taking defenders on, which we need more of that. But when it came to the defensive aspect of things, it was frustrating to see Nani just walking back or watching the ball, not coming back to press the defender. Now I'm not seeing it so much this season. And I think that's an important thing because, like what you were saying before, Prime, this is what Enzo Maresca is looking for. If we want players that are going to fit Enzo Maresca's system and we really want to see what Enzo Maresca is putting out there to its full potential, then the players need to be equipped to be able to do that. And if part of that skill is being able to be good off the ball and defend the ball, then you need to play the player that is going to give you that. And if Nani doesn't give you that, then it should be Neto or it should be another player that we get in the transfer window.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree. I was making a joke about the Willian stuff because Willian was criticised for his defensive work rate when he was at Chelsea. But I do agree, the work rate, like Madueke gives us, I rate. This is what last season.
It's better than last season for sure.
Which was a lot of critical of him for, and he's improved on that. I rate the work rate.
And listen, that's one of the few things I will ever give Poch credit for. He
100%.
did get Nani to start defending, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. I rate Nani's work rate. I just need Nani to get better in his decision making in the final third, because if you work on that and you get better on it, I can see a very, very, very top winger. Or that doesn't make sense. I can see a top winger because you can beat your man with ease, but once you then get past that, that decision making is the difference between a Rashford type or a genuine world class player.
100%. Yo, if I greatly dislike Marcus Rashford. Like, I see one of the most disinterested players I've ever seen in my life. A counterattack merchant, literally only good going forward. I would hate to see Nani Madueke become one of those players. Exactly. And if he had kept up prior to Poch, if he had kept up the same way he was when he first came into the club, I could easily see him becoming a Rashford of the right.
Yeah, because I rated Rashford a few years ago because he was still younger and he was showing like the potential of what he could maybe become. But like he's just completely falling away from that. And it's actually now a good thing. Well, one, because Sterling isn't good, but with Sterling now gone, because we know Sterling was a senior figure in the squad. With Sterling gone, the likes of Madueke, Mudryk, they're not learning from him the bad traits of the game. Because Sterling can be his man with ease, but then once he gets in the final third, he makes the wrong decisions. So it's no coincidence that Madueke is also making wrong decisions because he's the guy he's learning from. You know, it's like when Thiago Silva was at the club, the likes of Chalobah was looking better because he was learning from Thiago Silva. But if you're learning off a bad player as a young player, you're also going to make the same bad mistakes that he's making. So,
do you guys think that Maresca also advocates for Nani on the right because Nani can give him goals versus Jadon Sancho is more of like a playmaker and he depends on him to, like, his role as the left winger is to create chances, whereas Nani's role is to score goals? Do you think maybe that is something Maresca is telling these players? And because we saw the interview that Maresca had, and he came out and said to Nani, like, I told Nani, you haven't scored a goal since the Wolves game, and then he scored today.
Yeah, that's the chip on his shoulder that I'm talking about, Marshall. That he needs that chip.
Okay, so you do think that Maresca's kind of telling him, like, listen, I know what you're good at, and I'm putting you into the team because you can score me goals from the right. So I need you to score me goals, otherwise I'm going to give that role to someone else.
Yeah, I mean, if that's
which
the
is
reason
why we're seeing him be selfish, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the reason why he's being allowed to have the license to take so many shots on goal because Maresca wants that, then that's fine. If that's the tactic, that's fine. But you're getting all these opportunities.
People don't think about these things, Prime. That's why I'm bringing it up. Because I feel like people just see the player and think like the player is just doing what the player wants to do. Like a lot of times these players are told to do specific things on the pitch because the manager or the head coach is asking them to do these things.
Yeah, which is why I don't have a problem that he's doing it. I just want the execution to be better because the game against Palace, even though I said previously in the stream that if we control the game better, we don't lose 1-0.
Yeah.
But if Madueke also put one of his chances that he had against Palace, we win that game 2-1. And then we're not complaining about, oh, Jackson also had a chance that he should have scored, even though Jackson scored earlier. You know what I mean? You have Forrest, same thing. You had so many opportunities before you scored. And then he scored his goal, so we're not going to talk about the ones he missed beforehand. The game against West Ham, when we were 3-0 up, he had a chance where he could have easily squared it to Palmer, but he decided to take it himself and shoot, and he missed. And I spoke about it on here, and Surfer said it doesn't matter because we won the game 3-0. Who cares? But the reason why I care is because... No, I think the game happened against Brighton. But regardless, the reason why I care is because if that happened against Palace, that's why we drew 1-1. That happens against Forest, that would have been why we would have drawn 0-0, because you're not making the right decision. It's all well and good if you're making the bad decision, but we're winning the game 4-5. But if the game's in the balance, if we're losing 1-0, the game's 0-0, and we need you to make the right decision in that moment, that will cost us the game. And that's why I brought it up when we were winning, because if it costs us the game again, I'm going to go back to that example of it's happened multiple times. But if this is what Maresca wants, then this is what Maresca wants, but he just needs to improve on it, because if it continues not to pay off, then Maresca will give that role to someone else to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that was a good discussion on Nani. Big up to everyone in the chat. If you haven't done so already, smash that like button. Just a nice little reminder. Still a few more topics to go before we conclude the show today. Big up to everyone. And I know international break can be a little boring, so I'm hoping that by doing the Casually Chelsea show and giving you the guys this content, you are enjoying it. It's helping international break go a little bit faster. So yeah, smash up the like. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And also be sure to subscribe if you are new here. And subscribe to, everyone's content on here. We got Prime in the description. RSM, I'll put him down in the description as well. Check out his channel. next topic that I wanted to bring up, guys, was I got to talk to Chris about this, but I didn't actually get you guys' input on this, and that's Reece James being back. So we have here a tweet, an update from Matt Law that damn, you didn't even hesitate or wait. So Reece James is due back in full training, all being well next week, hopefully. So I have a feeling he's going to be in contention to play for the Liverpool game. Obviously, I don't want him to start. He will be on the bench, but I guess where I'll Prime. I'll go to you. I'll go to you last because I'm sure you have a lot to say on this. But I'll start off with RSM. You know, if you watched the last show, you guys know where I stand with Reece already. Where do you stand with Reece, who is currently your background, which I should add on to that.
Not for me, pretty much like I said before, like this is Reece's really last season to give us an actual run of games, you know, not like 5 and then injured. I'm talking like a good 25, 30, like that. That's what I need to see, for me to believe that he, you know, that he should stay in the team and still command the wages that he does. And I think, like, I don't know. I don't really think there's a reason to really be upset. Like having Reece James back for the run of games that we're about to go on. Like I'm not upset. We finally have somebody there because we can rest Malagusto, or we can play Malagusto, bring Reece off the bench. Like either way, like it's just a positive. Like I don't see how you can spin this as a negative. Like really, like I'm happy that he's back. You know, it may, and for everybody complaining about Enzo, like I don't see why you would be upset. Directing this at Prime, like if Reece is back, guess what? Enzo's no longer captain. He could get benched. There you go. There's your solution, brother.
Curry, are you back? I don't know if you're back. Curry, can you hear me? All right, I'll just reiterate before I give it off to Prime. Pretty much where I stand with Reece is that obviously I know, most of us here know, some of us have forgotten. Reece is a very, very, very good player, and on his day is a world class player. The thing with him though is that we all know the injuries is what's holding him back, and especially someone being, which RSM brought up, the wages, especially with the fact that he's the captain. He's an important player to this team, and it wasn't too long ago where we were literally talking about, bro, without Reece James we can't win games. It wasn't like, it was only 2 seasons ago we were saying that, and to have a player that can affect the game that much back in the squad is so crucial to our season. Like, he could be the difference between us, you know, having the supposed title charge, quote unquote, and just being a top 4 team. Like, he does have that big of an impact in this team. Now, his role in this team is up to debate. We don't know if he's going to play as a center back, if he's going to be inverting like Malagusto does, or even play in the midfield like a Vega and then come back to right back. We don't know. But point being is that he's a quality player. We all know this. And where I stand with it right now is also that, listen, if he were to get another long-term injury, I'm not talking like a knock, right, that gets him injured for a game. I'm talking like another spell where he's out for a month or 2. I think if that happens, I think I'm done, and I'm gonna have to just say, you know what, let's go and scout another right back. Malagusto is first choice. We're gonna scout a backup for Malagusto, and Reece, I'm sorry, we're gonna just have to find a way to move you on. Like, that's genuinely how I feel about it, because he gives me more in a financial aspect to find another player that can give me availability than the 2 or 3 games a season where, okay, cool, you got me an assist against Bournemouth. Awesome.
And it's not like Gusto is awful or old.
No, it's not. Big up Hussam, by the way. Yeah, it's frustrating, but Prime, I'll give you the floor, bro.
Hey, big up Hussam. Oh my god.
Huh?
So, what's your question about Reece?
Where are you right now? And I guess where do you draw the line? Because I said in the beginning of the season, I want him available for 3/4 of the season, and he's already been gone for a quarter of it. So in order for me to be satisfied, he needs to be fit for the rest of the season, and I don't see that happening.
Okay. want to know my Reece James timeline of how I've been thinking about him?
Okay.
So you guys know back in the summer, or when he took the surgery, you guys know I said this season the guy needs to be fit. Like, we had this conversation with Chris in the summer, that he needs to be fit for like at least over half of the Premier League games, maybe 30 or 28 or something, like starting those games and playing like 60, 75 minutes, or else I'll be done with him. But then in preseason, when Fofana was looking a bit shaky, Sinak, who actually works in the medical field, he was talking about how Fofana's been out for basically 2 years, having surgery. It's going to take him time to come back and recover. Fofana is going to need the year to recover first before he gets back to looking like his best, if he even gets to his best ever again. And then the season started. Obviously, Reece James missing the 3 games because of a suspension last year. And then he got injured in training. We didn't know what the injury was. It was a little knock. A lot of Chelsea fans then freaked and said, all right, get rid of him. He has to go. The reason why I didn't get the freak out, and I said, and you guys can back me up on this, I kept saying it's not that deep. The reason why I kept saying that was I remembered even though I could have made jokes, guys, I have clips and videos. I easily could have made jokes. I didn't, because I remember. I'm not joking. I have stuff prepared because I knew he would get something
crazy, bro. Like
it's not. I'm not even lying. I do have things saved. The reason why I didn't.
He has a folder. He has a folder entitled "If Reece James Get Injured," just on his desktop.
bro. Or I'll tell you a little story. I got a new phone like 2 weeks ago, right? And you know when you get a new iPhone, things like on the iCloud and stuff. When I transfer stuff over on my new phone, I couldn't find the things, and I was so worried. I was so worried that they were gone. But yeah, no, back with Reece. I remember what Sinak said about Fofana, that he's going to need a year. And then I was thinking about Reece James. He's just had surgery as well. It's going to be expected he's going to pick up some sort of a setback from the surgery, and that it's going to take him time to fully recover. And I even said before with the surgery that if he takes him the year, and I said this back, the World Cup in December, I said, don't go to the World Cup, take your surgery, and then have the rest of the season where you can don't even play again, but take that time to recover. Again, people know I said this, I've been saying this, take the time out, take as long as you need. And I'm of that thought process right now. We don't need necessarily James to play, because we have Gusto who can play right back. We have Fofana that can play there. The Sassy, if he needs to be, Caicedo, have enough cover where Reece can take the rest of the year coming in and out of the team and recovering. I'm fine with that, by the way, playing minimal games. If it means we get Reece for the future where he's fit, I'm okay if he takes the year out recovering. I'm okay with that. So this whole thing of him having a bit of a setback, like I've said, it's not that deep. And also, it's Maresca. He knows how to handle players. So, I read something now about Maresca saying that he loves Fofana and he has set up a plan for Fofana where he's going to play 1 game a week. I don't know if you've seen it, Marshall.
No, I have it, but I'm going to talk about it in the next show because I want to go over injuries before we go back into the Premier League.
Yeah, that he wants Fofana to play. He wants Fofana to play 1 game a week until 2025. So he can fully recover. That's smart.
Too.
I'm pretty sure he has some sort of a plan with Reece, where Reece won't play much games or get much minutes in his tank until 2025. That's why I'm not. It's not that deep for me. It's cool because I know if we still had Poch, Reece would have played the 4th game of the season, and then he would have lasted about 60 minutes.
Mauricio, I can't.
Marshall, he would have played the 4th game of the season. Actually, no, he would have played the Conference League game. And then he would have the playoff against the Reds. And then he would have
Mauricio, I can't.
We're
And
gonna
then
play
Reece
the conference league match, and he comes
against
into the
the
locker
Vets,
room.
and Reece would have been injured for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
If
What
not,
is he?
but-
I can't.
and that's assuming he wouldn't have got injured in the preseason with Poch. So that's why with Maresca, I trust what he's doing. He has a proven track record of trying to keep players fit. If people don't remember, last year with Leicester, they had an injury-prone squad, and he was able to keep players fit. Ricardo Pereira.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I just heard about that today.
Ricardo
The
Pereira,
comparisons.
who was injury-prone, was able to stay fit last season.
Yeah.
That's unheard of for him because he's injury-prone. So if he can do the same with Reece, I'm fine. I don't. For me as a Reece James slanderer or hater, and I'm the one guy who hasn't been bothered by this. I think people should actually listen to me. But what's the question you have for me, Marshall?
Prime is a season, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I was gonna
listen, they
say.
called me a mad-
I was gonna ask you. This is for anyone really. Do you guys think that Reece plays a 90-minute match at all this season?
No.
No shot. Like zero
Alright.
shot.
Wait,
It's disappointing.
plays the
by
whole
way,
game.
like 90 minutes. I don't think he plays a full 90 minutes this season.
Depending on his recovery, but I don't think we'll need him to.
Which is fine, by the way. If we didn't have Malo Gusto, I would be pissed off about it.
Bro, if we didn't have
Yeah.
Malagusto, we would have been depressed last season. Let's just be honest. Like even more than we already were.
Mauricio, I can't.
I would have been in tears, bro. We would have been finished. We would have been relegated.
Bro, Palmer and Gusto cooked last season. Let's be honest. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, listen, this is where we gotta give the shout out to the scouting department. They got Gusto in.
Yeah, that's very true.
And
That's
also,
very
you know
true.
why we need Reece to eventually stay fit?
Yeah.
Which is why I'm happy what Maresca is doing. Reece James is the only player in our squad that has a world-class delivery from out wide. Even Cole
100%.
Palmer, his deliveries from out wide are not elite.
It's 50-50, bro. I'll be real with you.
I
Out
need,
wide.
even though I don't want Reece to play further forward, if we're trying to chase a game, at least I know Reece can step out of the back three and push
People
forward
forget.
and
people
play in the half
forget.
space and whip a ball. He did that last season for that Nottingham Forest game last year. We don't win that game without Reece James.
Yo,
He's the reason why we won.
Reece James is the reason Frank Lampard's season we were crossing Shalah, because he has such a good cross that Lampard was like, yo, this kid, he's going to give me a goal. And it never came because we had horrible strikers and horrible attackers. But Reece was like the crossing Shalah god, bro. Like, he was that guy. But
Bro, the fact that Chelsea have evolved from, it was only 2-3 years ago where it was literally Reece James or bust. But now we have so many quality players that Reece can now have the rest he's deserved. He's deserved at this time to recover. So let him have it. Even if I don't care about the setbacks he has, I don't care about it. Let him have that time. Let him have the year off of playing minimal football. So if that means it's 10 minutes off the bench here, 10 minutes off the bench there, 15 minutes, maybe he starts a game and he gets hooked at halftime. I'm cool with that. I don't mind.
One thing I want to mention too is that, like, look, I look forward to what happens when Reece comes back, and
Yes.
I'm impressed with the injury record of Maresca. If he actually manages to keep this team for the most part fit, and Reece himself, he manages to stay fit for this whole season, bro. One, that is absolute kudos and magnificent of him, and I'd be really proud of Reece James as well for working really hard to maintain that level of fitness, because I give the benefit of the doubt. Prime did say this, like with the whole hamstring surgery, it's going to take a year for him to be fully fit and back. And listen, whether he re-injured it in training or Maresca was just trying to play it safe and just didn't want to risk it and made sure he was 100% injured, we'll see. But the second thing that I wanted to add is that will speak so much volumes, because no one's talking about this, and maybe it's my agenda, but I don't think it's an agenda. Bro, that'll speak volumes on how much of a hospital manager Mauricio Pochettino was. No, dead ass, because think about
No,
it.
I'm laughing because you're not wrong, bro. Like,
Because no medical team is so good that you can keep a team super fit, especially Reece James for the whole season.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm excited to see how fit our players can stay the whole season. And if 90% of our players are fit for the whole season, bro, the problem last season wasn't just the medical staff; it was also Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, Reece James,
I'm gonna do
Nkunku,
that right now for
Lavia, those three players who are labeled as injury prone. If they can stay fit for the majority of the season, then that's a win on Maresca and a loss on Poch. Which is why Nkunku not playing in the Prem or starting in the Prem yet, I'm not worried. People saying play him over Jackson or playing Nkunku left wing. No, because Nkunku is injury prone, so let's treat him properly. Let's treat our precious injury prone players like we're supposed to treat them properly.
And we don't need to rush them back like we did last season, like Podge being a clown, rushing back everybody, getting them injured.
Wrap them up.
I am not a clown.
Because if we end up in this title race by somehow, and we can have Reece to play the last 15 games of the season, starting consistently, then that'll be because we handled him properly. So, guys, please, calm. I don't want to see Enzo as my captain either, but just relax. Okay, calm.
Oh my god. All right. So the final topic I want to bring up in today's show, and big up to everyone, big up to the panel. Like I said, be sure to check out everyone's content, everyone's channels. And if you haven't done so already, smash up the like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. The last thing I wanted to bring up, which I think is another interesting topic, because I've been hearing a mixed bag of reactions, but I'll give my opinion on it before we open it up. But Mudryk apparently is fighting to stay at Chelsea, which I'm not surprised by, but it's looking more so that a move in January might not actually happen. So let's go ahead and bring this up and see what's going on. Ben Jacobs here reporting that Chelsea are not looking at a mid-season exit for Mykhailo Mudryk, permanent or loan. He is seen as offering strong competition to Jadon Sancho. We continue on. Enzo Maresca is constantly, Enzo Maresca is constantly challenging Mykhailo Mudryk to improve and still sees him as important. And then last but not least, here we have Mykhailo Mudryk is not actively working to leave Chelsea, and neither are his agents. The situation is completely quiet, and the player is working hard to do his best under Enzo Maresca. The player wants to succeed at Chelsea. The reason I laughed is because I'm sorry, I just don't think you're anywhere near the competition for Jadon Sancho, and I think Jadon even knows that. So, sorry, but hey, who knows? This is the thing. Mudryk could change my mind, because the thing is, like, I stick by this. I see a good player there, but the brain, the IQ, the experience isn't there. There's still a lot of raw talent there. Because, like, you have people like Fofana, who I respect Fofana's experience. Like, Wesley Fofana, for his age, has a lot of experience at international and at, domestic competition. Yeah. And he, without a bit of hesitation, even said, with his own words, it's clear, not even a competition. This kid is faster than Kylian Mbappe, who a lot of people rated Kylian Mbappe for his pace and his dribbling ability and everything else. Obviously, he's one of the greatest players in the world. But for him to say that so confidently, and it just goes to show that he sees something in the player too. You have Zinchenko, which, despite what you may think of Zinchenko or not, Zinchenko also really rates him highly, and it's just experience and just waiting for the moment for this player to blow up. The thing is, though, I disagree with these tweets, though. I do think it would be so beneficial for him to actually get a loan. Like, I don't think it's going to happen this season at Chelsea. I just don't see it. Like, people say, yeah, he's improved, and I'm like, yeah, but has he improved enough where I'm finding like, hey, Mudryk's here? Not really. He's improved a little bit, but he's still not good enough for, one, the price tag, which I know I said earlier, I don't like to bring it up, but this, I had really high expectations. It sets expectations for the player.
What people mean that he is improving, which is true, he is. Yeah. I think with Mudryk, like, I still stand by, he needs to go out on loan. He needs to leave this bubble of Chelsea. And I don't even want him to go to Strasbourg. Go to Marseille, where De Zerbi actually rates you. Go there and De Zerbi will take you on loan. Go there for 2 years. Go play, make mistakes, have bad games, have good games without being around Chelsea. and then you can come back and see where you are, because there is talent in him. Like you can't be ignorant to. No one can be ignorant to say there's no talent there.
He has the attributes. He just doesn't know how to use them.
And that's because he lacks game experience. Like a big part of being a young player is not just your ability, but actually being in situations where you can learn from. He hasn't had that, and he can't do that at Chelsea consistently because even though we're playing one game a week basically this season, but he's been taken off a lot because we have a deep squad and we have better players than him, which is unfortunate on his part. But he does need to leave. I think the whole thing about leaving Chelsea, I think this is taken kind of in the wrong context, because I think this is meant to say that he doesn't want to leave Chelsea permanently. But I think he would be willing to accept the loan. If he went out, go for 2 years, come back 2026 January, or even next year, January 2020, or next year is 2026 January. Come back 2027 January or 2026 January. Have that time out on loan where you can actually grow.
Yeah,
I think that's is important. Like he really needs that. He really does need that, because there is a talent, there is a player in him. If we sell him and then he explodes in 3-4 years, then Chelsea fans will be complaining, why didn't we give him time? Because I look at Mo Salah, I look at Mo Salah when he was at Chelsea, and I look at Mudryk now. Mudryk's a better player than what Mo Salah was. A better player. And seeing how Mo Salah developed at Fiorentina, Roma, and Liverpool, it shows me that if you have the right application, you can turn into a world-class player. Mudryk has that application. He has that mindset. Mudryk, the way Chelsea fans have treated Mudryk the last 2 years, most people would have crumbled by now. He hasn't.
100%.
He has the mindset.
Same thing with Jackson.
So give him the environment where he can just go and play. Give him that Marseille loan. Let him just go and play, because he needs that.
Yeah, I mean, RSM, what do you think on the whole Mudryk situation?
I mean, I've said this a ton of times. Like, I think in terms of the attributes, he has the attributes to be a really good player in the Prem. Like, and it's like Fofana said, like, his pace is his strongest ability. The issue is he never knows when to use it. There are so many times in games where I get frustrated because Mudryk has the ability, and we've seen it before, to just run at the defender's back and just beat them. Literally, just like he's right here, run the diagonal, boom, you beat them, you're gone, you're past them. And we have players that are
we saw
able
him
to
use
give
that, by the way, in
footballs.
Nottingham Forest.
That's what I mean. It's good that he's learning that, because there's so many times where like he's asking to the ball to his feet. Why? His best moments are when he's running at a through ball. We saw that even last season. I think one of the goals he scored, it was against Brighton, right? Palmer made an insane through ball, and he just beat the defender for pace. And it's not like the Brighton defender was slow. He just beat him because he's that much faster than them. And those are the type of positions I want to see Mudryk in. But he doesn't know when to do that. Like, he's staying back. He's asking for the ball to feet when he shouldn't really be doing that. He should more be looking to run at the defender, asking for a through ball and saying, hey, show me that you're faster than me, or I'll beat you right here, right now. Those are the positions that I want to see him, because I think that's where he's most effective, not only because he's using his pace, but because I've already seen that in the moments where he doesn't have to use his brain, instinctively he's actually not that bad. Like, instinctively, when he's running through, when he's dribbling at people, when he doesn't have time to think, he's actually not that bad. The issue is when he has time on the ball, he can't think.
Also, what doesn't help him is I've seen Mudryk had good moments and put the ball on a plate for players and they've missed. Like the game against Nottingham Forest, he put it on a plate for Nkuku. That was a brilliant run from Mudryk, but that doesn't get credited because Nkuku missed a sitter. I've seen him do that to Jackson.
It was also a decent save for himself. Like, it wasn't like it was a bum.
Yeah, it was, but I expect Nkuku to do that.
No, I agree.
I expect him to do better. And that's the thing. If Nkuku scores that, all of a sudden we're talking about a brilliant impact off the bench from Mudryk. But because it's not a goal, we're talking about how bad Mudryk still is. We're not talking about him improving. He isn't.
Nah, he actually, to be fair, like, anybody saying that, like, didn't watch the game because he actually had a decent cameo off the bench.
That's my thing. No one cares because it didn't result in anything.
Yeah, well, people are also stupid, so here's what it is.
People are stupid. Yeah.
But don't you guys feel that sometimes with Mudryk, especially last season, well, last season was also a Poch issue, but I remember last season, like, it's so hard to not add Poch to the equation. He's like that. He's always that annoying, like,
Asterisk.
PEMDAS. He's like the you forgot to do the multiplication because the parentheses was touching the number. He's
Nah,
always
dude.
that
I
one
feel like
part of the
I feel
equation
like
you forget.
that one fucking dude, the teacher, fucking Mr. Crocker from Fairly Odd Parents. Fucking every time something happens, I blame the fucking fairy godparents. Like that's how I feel about Pods, bro. Every time somebody talks about last season, it's exactly how I feel, bro.
I'm just fucking PTSD. It's really bad. So yeah, with Poch, like I feel like last season when Mudryk would have a good game, Poch would either bench him, or to not blame everything on Poch, obviously, or Mudryk would just get injured, and then he wouldn't play. Then he shows up, doesn't play well, gets back on the bench, makes a good cameo, is hurt for the next game.
Yeah, but that's also not true. Well, that's also because Mudryk would have good games.
50-50.
And he would just get benched randomly and not play for 3, 4, 5 games. Poch would do that as well. So, like, I don't know. The thing is, when Chelsea fans talk about we need more academy players in because they get what it means to play for the club and they're proper Chelsea, Mudryk is another one of these players that I use to show that it doesn't matter where you come from. If a player wants to play for this club, it will show. Mudryk actually cares about Chelsea. He wants to play for this club. I really hope it works out for him. I really do.
Yeah, I do too, because like, for one, I think loaning him out, I think part of the problem with the loan is the owners. They probably want to save face because it's kind of embarrassing, I'm not gonna lie, to loan out a player who's this expensive. I think ownership to a certain extent want to kind of make sure this works out. To a certain extent, I feel like Enzo falls into the same category, but Enzo's not been nearly as underperforming as a Mudryk.
Yeah, but the difference with Enzo is he doesn't need a loan. Like, he has more than enough experience. He's just not performing. It's a different.
Yeah, that's true.
Situation.
That is very true. Yeah, Mudryk literally needs experience because he lacks so much of it. But again, like, imagine being the owners and be like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna loan you our close to 80 million pound player, even though he's like 50 million pounds technically." And yeah, we'll see how that works out. And then if it doesn't work out, we're like, "Well, shit, we spent a significant chunk of money on this guy, and he's just not. He's been a dud." So I think it's a little bit of it is saving face and being like, all right, let's Enzo, please try to get the best out of this so we can recoup our money in some way or get something out of the amount that we paid for him. His contract is worth about 80 million pounds with the add-ons and everything included, but I don't think he's going to trigger any half of those add-ons. I'll be so honest with you. I think one of them was like a Ballon d'Or clause, which that's not happening. not with this Mudryk, it's not happening.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, so... yeah, I mean, time will tell. We're going to see what happens. I mean, listen, he is improving. The only thing I could ask for is that he continues to improve. I do want to see more assists. I do want to see some goals in there. I just don't want to see... I want to see dominance on the left wing from him in the Conference League, which is going to be his competition. I just want to see more dominant performances from him because I'll be so honest, like the performances I saw against Ghent, the performances I saw against Servette, I wasn't really convinced. It took until Barrow to me to see like, okay, Mudryk, you're showing me something. And even then, against Barrow, he got dispossessed so much. Like, it was 50-50 for me. So, I don't know. I need to see more impressive matches.
Mudryk needs games to do that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't have a problem with like those performances because if he was doing that away from Chelsea and was allowed to do that for 2 years and build up confidence and build up that like in-game know-how and experience, and if he came back to Chelsea, it would be fine. But it's because he's doing it now and we're seeing it. That's what the problem lies in, because everyone still thinks of him as that bad player. But if we bought Mudryk for the same price we bought Jackson, I don't think people would be complaining. People are frustrated with Mudryk because of the price tag, not because of his actual performances.
Yeah, he's a victim of his price tag. Like, it is what it is. Like, the owners try to make a big money signing as a statement when he came in, and unfortunately, it happened to be his signing.
Yeah, but even if you remove the price tag from him, he's really frustrating to watch. Yep. Very much like, even Enzo puts on more consistent positive performances than Mudryk does. I feel like with Mudryk, it's more consistent, lackluster, and unimpactful performances. So it feels like I don't even feel like, because I feel like when I bring up the price tag, I feel like I have to lump in Enzo into the same argument. But Enzo has at least shown me quite a few games where he can step up or be at least average and involved, whereas Mudryk has shown me quite a handful of games where it's like, all right, you did nothing. You were invisible this whole thing, and that's another good point to bring up too. Is that it's going to be interesting to see how he works with Vega, because someone brought this up, and I don't remember where. Like, it seems like with Renato Vega, does not hesitate to give the ball to Mudryk, which I know is a big thing that we brought up multiple times. Is that no one ever wants to pass the ball to Mudryk. With Renato Vega, he doesn't seem to give a fuck. He's like, yo, here, take the ball. Like, just go, run with it, do something. Like, he doesn't mind sharing the burden with him, which is a good partnership to have.
I think something Maresca has done that I've noticed, I don't know if other people have noticed, is that he seemed to have built partnerships on the pitch for certain players to work well
Felix
together.
and Nkunku, right? Like, that's like the big one.
Yeah.
Felix and Nkunku.
Palmer and Madueke. There's Palmer and Jackson too. That was from last season. Now you mentioned Vega and
Jaden.
He has certain partnerships for players to thrive together in, so that if he ends up eventually like mixing up the team, which I'm assuming he's have to, you can't keep the same lineup for A and B because we're going to get found out. Mm-hmm. When he ends up mixing the team, I think he will still keep the same sort of partnerships. So if he brings in Nkunku into our first team, quote unquote, so he will also bring in Felix in games where he will play, say. So, for example, Vega coming in because we're not going to have Cucurella against Liverpool or in our next few games. Don't be surprised if you see Mudryk start one of those games. He's going
the
to.
Newcastle one, I expect them probably to
Yes,
start in.
and you will see the chemistry with him and Vega. I think he wants certain links on the field, and you need that. You need certain partnership. So I think that's something people haven't given Maresca credit for doing.
Yeah, and I have noticed that, and I'm hoping a lot of people notice that too, because I like to see these relationships build up. I like to see the link ups and the chemistry. And man, when I'm playing Ultimate Team, I want to see green lines, and that's what I'm trying to see at Chelsea right now. I'm trying to see them green lines. Yep. So, big up to Maresca, Ultimate Team Master. And then we'll just see how the rest of the season goes for Mudryk, and since he's staying, it's going to be a time will tell, and we'll see at the end of the season. We'll assess if it's going to be worth keeping the guy or we should move him on. But that being said, Curry, if you came here to hit your 3-hour quota, it's done.
It's not even that. I wanted to speak on something. Sorry, to quickly go and come back. It's not even the 3-hour quota thing. First of all, I'm having this energy for everyone. Okay. If and I'm gonna once again, I'm referencing Kai because Kai's like, when with the Reece James thing came, he's like, oh, we're thinking of getting rid of Reece James but keeping Jackson. Jackson is healthy and provides us something because he's healthy and plays week in, week out. James has been injured for 2 years. This is number 3 right now. I don't care if it's Enzo. I don't care if it's Jackson. I don't care if it's Mudryk. If you do not perform this season, get out of my club. If we're supposed to be big Chelsea from the Abramovich heyday, right, when we used to sign Balak and Shevchenko, who won a Ballon d'Or in Crespo, if they did not perform that season, they were out. And if Kai wants to have this whole thing about the old Abramovich and proper Chelsea and back to our heyday, let's keep that energy. So if Enzo does not perform this season, get him out. If Mudryk does not perform this season, get him out. If Reece James cannot stay healthy and play more than 15 games in the league, and that does not mean necessarily starts. I want him to start 11 of those 15 games, right? He can get subbed off at the 60th minute every time. I don't care, but he needs to play at least 11 starts and 15 games in the Premier League for me this season. Reece James earning $250K a week. If he does not do that, get him out. To
be fair, I agree. I agree with you because this is the type of attitude we need if we want to keep Palmer. By the way, like I know obviously like, a lot of the articles that are BS about like Palmer's leaving next season. That's some BS. But if we're 2-3 seasons down the line and we're continuing with these players that are not delivering, we're continuing to like try to harbor our best feelings for players that are completely injured and ever available. Like we need to pattern up.
And I'm saying and I'm giving every player who joins us the first season, I'm not even counting, even if they played in this league. So Neto, because of his injuries, whatever, I'm not counting. But the season after, I will see whatever he plays, and if he does not perform this next season, then I want him out. Mudryk has been here for 2.5 years, basically, coming into the season. Enzo has 2, and Reece James has been injured for 2 years, and this is number 3 going in. That's why I have this energy. I don't have this energy for Drewsbury Hall, who just came in for £30 million, right? And we have adequate replacements for some of these players, right? Malagusto we have, who can basically is coming in because Reece James is so injury prone. Gusto's basically starting every week, so we'll need to look for a backup right back. But I trust the scouting network. We have a perfect backup for Enzo and Andres Santos, who's coming in, who's loaned out. We have a backup DM in Ugochukwu just in case for Lavia in the system. We might need to look for a left winger, but I trust the scouting system. So if we're going to keep this energy, let's go for it. Let's do this energy. Let's keep Roman Abramovich energy. If these 3 players do not perform, get them out. Same with Wesley Fofana on that point too. If he's not healthy enough for this season, get him out. We have Anselmino coming in as early as January and next summer if he wants to.
Look at these foreign Chelsea fans, man, slandering our captain. They're not proper Chelsea. They're not proper Chelsea.
Let's have it right.
Especially because I think we can achieve, and I do think we achieve top 4 this season. If we do that, I want us to push for the league. And these players cannot be passers-by. I can't have a Reece James who's injury prone if he's injury prone for 3 years. So that's why.
Yep.
You know, like I can't do that. If I'm gonna push for the league next season and I'm top 4 this season, I'm pushing for the league. I don't got time for second place.
Yeah, and the thing is,
progression nonsense.
I agree 100%. Like, this is the thing. Like, a lot of people are going to realize this by the end of the season. I'm sure. But by the end of the season, we're going to realize that in Palmer, we have a player who is the type of player that decides you titles, that decides you trophies.
100%.
And we need to get the team around them at that point. And I have my favorites in the team. I have the players that I like. But if we have to get them out to build a team around Palmer that is going to actually win trophies, actually compete for the Prem, actually compete for the Champions League, I don't care how it gets done. I'm 100% with CP. Get them out and get the players in. I'm gonna be honest. By the end of the season, I'm convinced that we're going to see in Palmer, like, this is our shot. This is a player that's going to be here that we signed for like the next 9 years that we need to win trophies around. I'm telling you, I'm fully confident in Palmer, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
like
Palmer. Real quick before you mention something, Palmer is one of those players right now that, like, I don't want to fuck up like and I don't say we fucked up with Eden Hazard, but
no, we did, bro. We did not put the team around him that we should have. Come on, I have no problem saying that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like with Eden Hazard, we didn't take advantage of the fact that we had an Eden Hazard. We strolled on by. We could have won so much more with that player if we were actually serious about recruitment and serious about building a team. And this is our chance to rewrite that history and really just take advantage of that.
By the way, that's what I'm saying. Like, we need to grab this opportunity for everything we got.
And I think we are in the right direction. Like, I think Moises Caicedo is potentially going to be a world-class player. Nicholas Jackson, we just talked about this yesterday, Prime. If he gets right with the finishing, this guy also has the potential to be a world-class player. And I'm not afraid to say that. Malagusto, potential world-class player. Levi Colwell, if he keeps up this form, potential world-class player. Cucurella, potential world-class player as well. Like, we have a lot of really good potential in this team to build a team that, like, could dominate all of Europe, but we need to take advantage of the fact that we have at least a starting point with Cole Palmer. But go ahead, Prime. What were you going to say?
Something I want to see. Back to, like, the Enzo Caicedo midfield thing. Something I want to see. Play Enzo as, like, the single pivot and have Caicedo invert from right back in with him.
Oh, okay.
I'm very curious to see how that, because Chowdhury is not a right back, he's a defensive midfielder, and he was doing that at Leicester. I want to see that, especially now with Reece that he's out. You have the opportunity to actually try that. Caicedo's played right back at Brighton, and he was inverting in midfield, and it worked. So that's what I would like to see personally. And then I think if you do that, maybe you can afford to be a little bit more, say, attack-minded and have Palmer and Nkuku as the two, like, attacking eights.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind that setup against like, very low-block teams like Forest.
Yeah, and then for the defensive side of the game, just have, again, Madueke and who's on the left, Sancho, to track back. I think that would work. Or at least I want to try it. I want to see if it would work.
Agreed.
Fair enough. All right, ladies and gents, that is the Casually FC show today. Big up to everyone. Like I said, check out the links in the description for everyone's content. We'll be back again, I believe, either Thursday or Wednesday. I'm not sure how the week plays out. I'll let you guys know. I'll put out a community post to let you know what the schedule is going to be like. And that's probably going to be my last stream on Casually FC until I return the 29th of October. And I'll probably give you guys a special Chelsea hour just to like kind of catch up and give you my thoughts on everything I missed out on while I was away. But big up to everyone in the chat. Let me see who I can redirect to. I don't even know who's live anymore. I'm usually the one that's always live because 3 hour, podcast is
who's live that we like, guys.
Is Sarcasm City still live? I think so. He's another trooper, so I'm gonna say let's raid out Sarcasm City. Yeah, he's still alive. So all right, guys, we're gonna raid the homies in Sarcasm City. Flawless. They're doing a Yardman show. Big up to everyone on the panel. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to everyone who is watching this in the future as well. Smash up the likes, helps out the YouTube algorithm. Be sure to subscribe to help grow the community. Also, check out the links in the description. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts about what we spoke about today. A lot of big topics that we discussed today. I think it was a very good conversation. Also, be sure to check out memberships because we have 4 different tiers starting at 99p. And for those of you at our proper Chelsea and higher, or proper casual, sorry, not Chelsea, proper casual and higher tiered members, you get shout outs at the end of every show, and that's going to go out to EE, Hassan Nawaz, Dark, Adrian, Soliman, and Scott. So big up to y'all, and I appreciate y'all, and we'll see you again soon for the next stream. As always, oh yeah, wait, hold on. Raid message. How can I forget? Sheesh. All right, so that's the raid message. Copy and paste that raid message. Let Flawless know where you are coming from. But that being said, we'll catch you guys soon. As always, have a wonderful night and stay casual. Peace.